When we speak of the largest animals that ever lived, we must first understand what we mean by largest. Size itself is not a simple concept. An animal might stretch longer than a city block, yet weigh less than a creature half its length. Another might tower above the treetops, but possess less mass than a compact, densely built relative. In the deep archives of life on Earth, we find giants measured not just in meters and tons, but in the very limits of what biology can achieve. The story of Earth's largest animals is written across 4 billion years of evolution, carved into stone by the patient work of fossilization and decoded by scientists who piece together fragments of bone and shell to reconstruct creatures that dwarf anything alive today. Yet this story contains a profound surprise. The largest animal that has ever existed on our planet is not buried in ancient rock. It is not a relic of some distant, more violent age. It lives today, gliding through the cold depths of our oceans, with a grace that seems impossible for something so immense. The blue whale, Balænoptera musculus, represents the pinnacle of animal size on Earth. These marine mammals can reach lengths of 110 feet and weights exceeding 200 tons. To comprehend such mass, imagine 400,000 pounds concentrated in a single living body. The largest specimen ever measured stretched 98 feet in length and weighed 219 tons. The heaviest blue whale on record, a female, tipped the scales at 389,760 pounds. But numbers alone cannot capture the reality of encountering such a creature. A blue whale's head spans such a width that an entire professional football team could stand upon its tongue. Its heart grows as large as a small automobile, pumping blood through arteries wide enough for a human to crawl through. Each heartbeat sends gallons of blood coursing through a circulatory system that must reach every cell in a body longer than most passenger trains. The blue whale achieved this extraordinary size not through ancient evolutionary pressures or prehistoric environmental conditions, but through the unique properties of life in water. Unlike terrestrial animals that must support their weight against gravity, marine creatures exist in a world where buoyancy provides constant support. Water's density allows massive bodies to float, freeing these animals from the structural constraints that limit land-dwelling giants. This aquatic advantage becomes clear when we compare blue whales to the largest animals that ever walked on land. The mightiest dinosaurs, those colossal sauropods that stretched their necks above Mesozoic forests, achieved impressive dimensions but could never approach the sheer mass of a blue whale. A 100-foot-long blue whale can weigh 150 tons or more, 3 times heavier than a dinosaur of comparable length. Yet the story of gigantism extends far beyond modern whales and ancient dinosaurs. Earth's history reveals a succession of giants, each adapted to their particular slice of deep time, each pushing against the boundaries of what physics and biology would allow. These creatures inhabited worlds we can barely imagine, where the chemistry of oceans differed from today's seas, where oxygen levels fluctuated dramatically, and where the very positions of continents created entirely different patterns of current and climate. The Mesozoic era, stretching from 252 million to 66 million years ago, marked the age when terrestrial life reached its greatest dimensions. During this vast span of time, dinosaurs evolved into forms that challenged every assumption about how large a land animal could grow. The sauropods, those long-necked herbivores that define our image of prehistoric giants, represented the culmination of terrestrial gigantism. Among these titans, Patagotitan majorum stands as one of the most completely understood giants. This massive herbivore lived between 100 million and 95 million years ago in what is now Argentina. From its fossilized remains, paleontologists have reconstructed an animal that measured approximately 121 feet in length and weighed an estimated 70 tons. Its thigh bone alone stretched 8 feet long, a single piece of anatomy larger than most complete animals. Patagoteton belonged to the titanosaur group, sauropods that represented the final flowering of dinosaur gigantism. These animals possessed anatomical innovations that allowed them to grow larger than their earlier relatives. Their bones contained internal air spaces that reduced weight without sacrificing strength. Their necks, supported by powerful ligaments and muscles, could reach heights of 60 feet or more, allowing them to browse vegetation unavailable to smaller competitors. The discovery of Patagoteton reveals the meticulous detective work required to understand these ancient giants. In Argentina's Patagonia region, paleontologists uncovered not just isolated bones, but partial skeletons that preserved enough anatomy to estimate body mass with reasonable confidence. Each fossil tells a story not just of individual animals, but of entire ecosystems structured around creatures of unprecedented size. Argentinosaurus huinculensis represents another contender for the title of largest land animal ever. First discovered in 1987 when an Argentinian farmer found what he initially mistook for petrified wood, this titanosaur may have reached lengths of 130 feet and weights between 110,000 and 220,000 pounds. These dimensions would make Argentinosaurus longer than the average blue whale, though still significantly lighter. The fragmentary nature of Argentinosaurus fossils illustrates one of paleontology's greatest challenges. Unlike the relatively complete remains of Patagoteton, Argentinosaurus is known from limited skeletal elements. Paleontologists must extrapolate from individual bones to estimate total body size, a process that involves considerable uncertainty. Different methodologies can yield dramatically different size estimates for the same animal. Dreadnoughtus shrunni provides perhaps the most reliable data on giant dinosaur anatomy. Discovered by paleontologists from Drexel University, this titanosaur is represented by a 70% complete skeleton, an extraordinary level of preservation for such a massive animal. Named after early 20th century battleships, Dreadnoughtus measured 85 feet in length and weighed approximately 65 tons. The completeness of the Dreadnoughtus skeleton allows scientists to calculate body mass with greater confidence than is possible for more fragmentary specimens. When paleontologists possess the major limb bones, they can apply established relationships between bone circumference and body weight to estimate how much these animals weighed in life. This methodology has revealed that even the most conservative estimates place the largest sauropods at masses approaching those of modern blue whales. But the terrestrial realm was not the only domain of ancient giants. The Mesozoic oceans harbored creatures that rivaled and sometimes exceeded the dimensions of their land-dwelling contemporaries. During the Triassic period, from 252 to 201 million years ago, marine reptiles evolved to sizes that challenge our understanding of what was possible in ancient seas. Ichthyotitan sevenensis represents one of the most remarkable discoveries in marine paleontology. This colossal ichthyosaur, known primarily from massive jaw fragments discovered along the English coast, may have exceeded 80 feet in length. If these size estimates prove accurate, Ichthyotitan would rank among the largest marine animals ever discovered, comparable to modern fin whales. The discovery of Ichthyotitan emerged from the dedication of fossil enthusiasts who recognized the significance of seemingly unremarkable bone fragments. In 2016, fossil collector Paul de la Salle found a massive piece of jawbone along the Somerset coast. Years later, 11-year-old Ruby Reynolds and her father discovered additional fragments that proved to belong to the same species. Together, these fossils provided enough evidence to describe a new species of giant ichthyosaur. Ichthyosaurs evolved from terrestrial reptiles that returned to the sea during the early Triassic period. Over the course of 50 million years, they developed the streamlined body shapes and gigantic sizes that made them the dominant marine predators of their era. These reptiles breathed air through lungs rather than gills, yet they spent their entire lives in the ocean giving birth to live young in the water rather than laying eggs on land. The evolution of gigantic ichthyosaurs reveals the speed with which life can adapt to new environments. Within 8 million years of their first appearance in the fossil record, some ichthyosaurs had already achieved massive sizes. This rapid evolution suggests that Triassic oceans provided abundant food resources and ecological opportunities for large predators. Ichthyotitan lived near the end of the Triassic period, representing the culmination of ichthyosaur gigantism. However, this evolutionary experiment in marine giants would not survive the mass extinction that marked the transition to the Jurassic period. 201 million years ago, environmental changes eliminated the largest ichthyosaurs from Earth's oceans. Later, ichthyosaur species achieved respectable sizes, with some Jurassic forms reaching 30 feet in length, but none would match the colossal dimensions of their Triassic predecessors. The extinction of giant ichthyosaurs illustrates a recurring pattern in Earth's history. Periods of environmental stability allow certain lineages to evolve extreme adaptations, including gigantic body size. But when conditions change rapidly, these highly specialized giants often prove less adaptable than their smaller relatives. The largest animals frequently represent evolutionary dead ends, magnificent but ultimately fragile experiments in biological engineering. The Triassic oceans that supported Ichthyotitan differed dramatically from modern seas. Higher global temperatures created tropical conditions that extended nearly to the poles. Ocean chemistry showed distinct differences from today's marine environment, with varying levels of dissolved minerals and gases. These conditions supported marine ecosystems, unlike anything that exists today. The warm Triassic climate appears to have been crucial for supporting giant marine reptiles. Modern research suggests that large reptiles require elevated environmental temperatures to maintain the metabolic rates necessary for their enormous bodies. The consistently warm conditions of the Triassic period may have provided the thermal environment that allowed ichthyosaurs to achieve their massive sizes. Fossil evidence suggests that giant ichthyosaurs were not solitary predators, but existed as part of complex marine food webs. The presence of multiple species of large marine reptiles throughout the Triassic indicates that ancient oceans contained sufficient biological productivity to support entire communities of giants. These ecosystems must have included vast populations of smaller marine animals to provide food for creatures weighing dozens of tons. The study of ancient giants continues to evolve as new discoveries and analytical techniques refine our understanding of prehistoric life. Recent advances in bone histology allow scientists to examine the internal structure of fossilized bones under microscopes, revealing information about growth rates, metabolism, and life history. These techniques have confirmed that many giant ichthyosaurs were still growing at the time of their death, suggesting that even the largest specimens might not represent the maximum possible size for their species. Species. The microscopic analysis of fossilized bone tissue has revolutionized our understanding of how these ancient giants lived and grew. When paleontologists examine thin sections of ichthyosaur bones under powerful microscopes, they can observe the cellular structures that recorded the animal's life history. These bone tissues reveal growth rings similar to those found in trees, marking seasonal or annual cycles of rapid and slow growth. The bone histology of giant ichthyosaurs shows patterns consistent with fast-growing warm-blooded metabolism. Unlike the slow, steady growth typical of modern reptiles, these marine giants deposited bone tissue at rates comparable to those seen in large mammals. This evidence supports the hypothesis that ichthyosaurs maintained elevated body temperatures despite their reptilian ancestry, an adaptation that would have been essential for sustaining their massive bodies in marine environments. The internal structure of ichthyosaur bones also reveals adaptations for life at enormous size. Like modern whales, these ancient marine reptiles evolved bones with internal spaces filled with fatty tissue rather than dense mineral deposits. This adaptation reduced skeletal weight without compromising structural strength, allowing the animals to achieve greater overall size while maintaining neutral buoyancy in seawater. The evolutionary transition from land to sea that produced giant ichthyosaurs represents one of the most dramatic transformations in vertebrate history. The earliest ichthyosaurs retained many terrestrial features, including limbs suitable for movement on land. Over millions of years, natural selection gradually modified every aspect of their anatomy for aquatic life. Their limbs transformed into paddle-shaped flippers, their spines developed the flexibility necessary for undulating swimming motions, and their skulls elongated into streamlined forms optimized for cutting through water. This transformation occurred with remarkable speed in evolutionary terms. Fossil evidence suggests that ichthyosaurs evolved from terrestrial reptiles to fully aquatic giants in less than 30 million years. This rapid evolution demonstrates the powerful selective pressures that operated in Triassic marine environments, where ecological opportunities for large predators created strong advantages for increased body size. The feeding strategies of giant ichthyosaurs remain subjects of active scientific investigation. Their elongated skulls and pointed teeth suggest adaptations for catching fish and squid-like cephalopods. But the massive size of species like Ichthyotitan raises questions about what prey could sustain such enormous predators. Modern blue whales solve this problem by filter feeding on vast swarms of small organisms, but ichthyosaur teeth indicate they were active hunters rather than filter feeders. Recent discoveries of fossilized stomach contents in smaller ichthyosaurs provide clues about the feeding ecology of their giant relatives. These fossils reveal that ichthyosaurs consumed a diverse array of marine prey, including fish, cephalopods, and smaller marine reptiles. Some specimens preserve evidence of cannibalism, with larger ichthyosaurs consuming smaller members of their own species. This behavior suggests that giant ichthyosaurs may have been opportunistic predators capable of taking prey as large as themselves. The social behavior of giant ichthyosaurs remains largely mysterious due to the limitations of the fossil record. However, rare fossil sites have preserved evidence of multiple individuals dying together, suggesting that at least some species may have traveled in groups. These mass mortality events, possibly caused by stranding in shallow water or toxic algal blooms, provide glimpses into the social structures of ancient marine ecosystems. The reproductive strategies of giant ichthyosaurs present fascinating puzzles for paleontologists. Fossil evidence shows that ichthyosaurs gave birth to live young rather than laying eggs, an adaptation that allowed them to remain fully aquatic throughout their life cycles. Some fossils preserve adult females with developing embryos inside their bodies, revealing that even the largest species maintain this reproductive strategy. The birth process for giant ichthyosaurs must have presented unique challenges. Modern large whales give birth to calves that represent a significant fraction of the mother's body length, and similar proportions in giant ichthyosaurs would have resulted in newborns measuring 15 to 20 feet in length. These enormous offspring would have required tremendous energy investment from their mothers and may have influenced the evolution of social behaviors in ichthyosaur populations. The decline and eventual extinction of giant ichthyosaurs at the end of the Triassic period coincided with one of Earth's major mass extinction events. The Triassic-Jurassic extinction eliminated approximately 75% of marine species and fundamentally restructured ocean ecosystems. The environmental changes that drove this extinction appear to have been particularly devastating for large marine predators. Volcanic activity associated with the breakup of the supercontinent Pangaea released massive quantities of carbon dioxide and other gases into the atmosphere during the late Triassic period. These emissions triggered rapid climate change and ocean acidification, disrupting marine food webs from the bottom up. The collapse of primary productivity in Triassic oceans would have eliminated the abundant prey populations necessary to sustain giant ichthyosaurs. The survivors of the Triassic extinction were predominantly smaller species, better adapted to fluctuating environmental conditions. Early Jurassic ichthyosaurs achieved respectable sizes, with some species reaching lengths of 30 to 40 feet, but none approached the colossal dimensions of their Triassic predecessors. This pattern of size reduction following mass extinctions appears repeatedly throughout Earth's history, suggesting that gigantism often represents an evolutionary luxury that becomes unsustainable during periods of environmental stress. The replacement of giant ichthyosaurs by smaller marine reptiles illustrates the dynamic nature of evolutionary adaptation. Jurassic oceans became dominated by plesiosaurs, marine reptiles that evolved different body plans and feeding strategies. Long-necked plesiosaurs used stealth and agility to capture prey, while short-necked pliosaurs developed massive heads and powerful jaws for subduing large prey through brute force rather than sheer size. The evolution of marine ecosystems following the Triassic extinction reveals the multiple pathways available for achieving predatory success in aquatic environments. Rather than evolving single species of enormous size, Jurassic oceans supported diverse communities of medium to large predators that partitioned available resources through behavioral and anatomical specializations. The study of ancient marine giants extends beyond individual species to encompass entire ocean systems and their capacity for supporting large animals. Triassic oceans differed from modern seas, not only in temperature and chemistry, but also in their fundamental biological structure. The absence of certain types of plankton and the presence of unique marine invertebrates created food webs unlike anything that exists today. Paleontologists have reconstructed Triassic marine ecosystems using evidence from microscopic fossils, chemical signatures preserved in ancient rocks, and the distribution patterns of marine organisms. These studies reveal oceans characterized by high biological productivity, but relatively simple food web structures. The abundance of primary producers supported large populations of herbivorous marine reptiles, which in turn provided prey for giant predators like Ichthyotitan. The geographic distribution of giant ichthyosaur fossils provides insights into the global patterns of marine productivity during the Triassic period. Specimens have been discovered on multiple continents, including Europe, North America, and Asia, indicating that these giants inhabited oceans worldwide, rather than being restricted to particular geographic regions. This global distribution suggests that the environmental conditions favoring gigantism were widespread during the Triassic. However, the preservation of ichthyosaur fossils shows distinct patterns that reflect ancient oceanic conditions. The finest specimens come from marine sediments deposited in relatively shallow seas that covered parts of what are now Europe and Western North America. These depositional environments provided the rapid burial necessary for exceptional fossil preservation, while also supporting the productive marine ecosystems that sustained giant predators. The chemistry of Triassic oceans played a crucial role in supporting giant marine life. Higher atmospheric carbon dioxide concentrations created greenhouse conditions that warmed global temperatures and altered ocean circulation patterns. These warm conditions extended tropical climates toward the poles and created more uniform global temperatures than exist today. The elevated temperatures of Triassic oceans would have increased the metabolic rates of marine reptiles, while also enhancing biological productivity through accelerated nutrient cycling. Warmer water holds less dissolved oxygen than cooler water, but the high productivity of Triassic marine ecosystems may have compensated for this limitation through vigorous photosynthesis by marine plants and algae. Ocean circulation during the Triassic period differed dramatically from modern patterns due to the configuration of continents and the absence of polar ice caps. The supercontinent Pangaea created vast interior seas with restricted circulation, leading to the development of oxygen-depleted zones in deep water. However, the shallow seas where ichthyosaur fossils are most commonly found appear to have maintained well-oxygenated conditions suitable for supporting large, active predators. The mineral content of Triassic seawater also differed from modern oceans, with implications for the physiology of marine organisms. Higher concentrations of certain dissolved minerals may have affected the buoyancy and osmoregulation of large marine reptiles. These chemical differences could have influenced the maximum sizes achievable by aquatic animals, and may partially explain why giant ichthyosaurs have no direct modern equivalents. The transition from the Triassic to Jurassic periods marked not only the extinction of giant ichthyosaurs, but also fundamental changes in marine ecosystem structure. The loss of large primary consumers and apex predators created ecological vacancies that were filled by different types of organisms over millions of years. This restructuring process demonstrates the complex relationships between body size, ecological function, and environmental stability. The fossil record of marine giants extends beyond ichthyosaurs to include other groups of reptiles that achieved impressive sizes during different periods of Earth's history. Plesiosaurs, which rose to prominence after the decline of ichthyosaurs, included both long-necked forms that fed on fish and short-necked pliosaurs that functioned as apex predators in Jurassic and Cretaceous seas. The largest pliosaurs rivaled giant ichthyosaurs in their dimensions, though they achieved their size through different anatomical strategies. Leadsichthys problematicus, a massive pliosaur from the Middle Jurassic, possessed a skull measuring over 8 feet in length and may have reached total body lengths approaching 60 feet. These predators used their enormous heads and powerful jaws to capture large prey rather than relying on speed and agility like their ichthyosaur predecessors. The evolution of giant pliosaurs illustrates alternative pathways for achieving large size in marine environments. Rather than developing the streamlined body forms of ichthyosaurs, pliosaurs retained the basic four-flippered body plan inherited from their terrestrial ancestors, while evolving massive heads and short, powerful necks. This anatomical arrangement proved effective for ambush predation, but limited their swimming speeds compared to more streamlined marine reptiles. The coexistence of multiple types of giant marine reptiles during the Mesozoic era reveals the capacity of ancient oceans to support diverse communities of large predators. Jurassic seas contained giant pliosaurs, large ichthyosaurs, enormous marine crocodiles, and massive fish, all occupying slightly different ecological niches within the same marine ecosystems. This diversity of large marine predators contrasts sharply with modern oceans, where a single group of mammals, the whales, dominates the large predator niche. The greater diversity of giant marine reptiles in Mesozoic seas may reflect fundamental differences in marine productivity or the absence of competition from marine mammals, which had not yet evolved during the age of reptiles. The study of ancient marine giants provides crucial insights into the environmental factors that enable or constrain the evolution of large body size. Marine environments consistently support larger animals than terrestrial habitats, a pattern that has remained constant throughout Earth's history. This size advantage of aquatic life reflects the physical properties of water as a supporting medium and the different energetic challenges faced by animals living in water versus air. The buoyancy provided by water effectively reduces the gravitational stress experienced by large animals, allowing them to achieve sizes that would be impossible on land. A giant ichthyosaur weighing 50 tons could move gracefully through the water, while a terrestrial animal of similar mass would face enormous challenges in supporting its own weight and moving efficiently across the landscape. The thermal properties of water also influence the evolution of large size in marine animals. Water's high heat capacity and excellent thermal conductivity help large aquatic animals maintain stable body temperatures despite their enormous surface area to volume ratios. This thermal stability reduces the metabolic costs associated with thermoregulation and may enable the evolution of larger body sizes than would be possible in terrestrial environments. The three-dimensional nature of aquatic habitats provides additional advantages for large animals. Marine environments offer virtually unlimited vertical space for movement, allowing giant animals to exploit food resources distributed throughout the water column. Terrestrial environments, in contrast, are essentially two-dimensional surfaces, where large animals must compete for space and resources within a relatively narrow vertical zone. These fundamental differences between aquatic and terrestrial environments help explain why the largest animals in Earth's history have consistently been marine organisms. From giant ichthyosaurs to modern blue whales, the ocean has repeatedly produced animals that dwarf even the most massive terrestrial creatures. This pattern suggests that water-dwelling represents the optimal lifestyle for achieving maximum body size among vertebrate animals. The extinction patterns of marine giants throughout Earth's history reveal the vulnerability of large animals to environmental change. Despite their impressive adaptations and ecological success, giant marine reptiles proved susceptible to the same types of environmental disruptions that eliminated large dinosaurs and other megafauna. This vulnerability appears to be an inherent characteristic of gigantism rather than a weakness specific to particular animal groups. Large animals typically require stable environmental conditions and abundant food resources to maintain their populations. Their slow reproductive rates and high energy requirements make them particularly sensitive to disruptions in food webs or changes in habitat quality. These characteristics explain why large animals are often among the first casualties during mass extinction events, and why recovery of large body size typically requires millions of years of evolutionary time. The cyclical appearance and disappearance of marine giants throughout geological time reflects the dynamic relationship between environmental conditions and evolutionary opportunity. Periods of stable climate and high marine productivity favor the evolution of large predators, while times of environmental stress select for smaller, more adaptable organisms. This pattern has repeated multiple times throughout Earth's history and continues to influence the evolution of marine life today. The complex interplay between environmental conditions and gigantism becomes even more apparent when we examine the transition periods between geological eras. The boundaries between the Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous periods each witnessed dramatic reorganizations of marine ecosystems, with corresponding changes in the types and sizes of animals that dominated the seas. During the early Jurassic period, approximately 200 million years ago, marine ecosystems began to recover from the devastation that had eliminated giant ichthyosaurs. The oceans of this time were characterized by rising sea levels and the gradual warming that followed the cooler conditions at the Triassic-Jurassic boundary. These changing conditions created new ecological opportunities for marine reptiles, though none would immediately reclaim the colossal sizes of their Triassic predecessors. The plesiosaurs that rose to prominence during the Jurassic represented a fundamentally different approach to marine predation. These reptiles evolved from terrestrial ancestors independently of ichthyosaurs, developing their own unique adaptations for aquatic life. Early plesiosaurs retained the basic, four-limbed body plan of their land-dwelling relatives, but transformed their limbs into powerful flippers, capable of generating thrust through underwater flight-like motions. The diversification of plesiosaurs during the Jurassic and Cretaceous periods produced two distinct body plans, each optimized for different ecological roles. Long-necked plesiosaurs developed necks containing as many as 76 vertebrae, creating flexible appendages that could extend 20 feet or more from their bodies. These elongated necks allowed them to strike at prey with lightning speed, while maintaining their bodies at a safe distance from potentially dangerous fish or cephalopods. The feeding mechanics of long-necked plesiosaurs required precise coordination between neck movement and jaw positioning. Underwater, their necks functioned as flexible spears that could be thrust forward to capture prey, then rapidly withdrawn to bring food back to the main body for processing. The evolution of this feeding strategy represented a unique solution to the challenges of underwater predation, one that had no equivalent among modern marine animals. Short-necked plesiosaurs, known as pliosaurs, evolved along an entirely different trajectory toward gigantism. These marine reptiles developed massive heads that could comprise up to 1/4 of their total body length. The largest pliosaurs possessed skulls measuring 10 to 12 feet in length, housing powerful jaw muscles capable of generating bite forces that exceeded those of any known predator. Leedsichthys problematicus, one of the most formidable pliosaurs, inhabited the seas of the Middle Jurassic approximately 160 million years ago. This apex predator may have reached lengths of 50 to 60 feet, with most of this size concentrated in its enormous head and muscular neck. The skull of Leedsichthys contained teeth measuring up to 8 inches in length, each one a curved blade designed for grasping and tearing large prey. The hunting strategies employed by giant pliosaurs likely resembled those of modern crocodiles, scaled up to oceanic proportions. These predators probably used ambush tactics, remaining motionless near the surface or in shallow water until suitable prey approached within striking distance. Their enormous jaws could then snap shut with devastating force, capturing marine reptiles, large fish, or even smaller members of their own species. The coexistence of long-necked plesiosaurs and giant pliosaurs in Jurassic seas demonstrates the principle of ecological partitioning among large predators. Long-necked forms specialized in capturing smaller, more agile prey through stealth and precision, while pliosaurs focused on subduing large, powerful animals through overwhelming force. This division of ecological roles allowed both groups to thrive simultaneously without direct competition for the same food resources. The marine ecosystems that supported these diverse communities of large predators differed significantly from modern oceans in their basic structure and productivity. Jurassic seas contained abundant populations of marine invertebrates, including ammonites, belemnites, and marine reptiles that served as prey for larger predators. The warm, stable climate of the Jurassic period created conditions favorable for high biological productivity throughout much of the world's oceans. The absence of marine mammals during the Mesozoic era meant that the ecological roles now filled by whales, dolphins, and seals were occupied by marine reptiles. This fundamental difference in marine ecosystem structure may have allowed for greater diversity among large predators, as different groups of reptiles evolved to exploit various aspects of the marine environment. Ammonites, extinct cephalopods related to modern squid and octopi, played crucial roles in Mesozoic marine food webs. These creatures developed shells that could reach diameters of 6 feet or more in the largest species, creating substantial prey items for marine predators. The abundance and diversity of ammonites provided a reliable food source for medium to large predators throughout the Jurassic and Cretaceous periods. The evolution of giant marine crocodiles during the Cretaceous period added another dimension to the diversity of large aquatic predators. Sarcosuchus imperator, known from fossils discovered in Africa, reached lengths of 40 feet and possessed a skull measuring 6 feet in length. This enormous crocodilian lived in rivers and coastal environments approximately 110 million years ago, demonstrating that gigantism was not restricted to fully marine environments. Sarcosuchus and related giant crocodilians occupied ecological niches similar to those of modern saltwater crocodiles, but operated at much larger scales. These predators likely fed on fish, marine reptiles, and even dinosaurs that ventured too close to water sources. Their semi-aquatic lifestyle allowed them to exploit both terrestrial and marine food resources, potentially supporting larger body sizes than would have been possible for purely aquatic or terrestrial predators. The study of giant marine crocodiles reveals important insights into the relationship between body size and habitat requirements. Modern crocodilians are among the largest living reptiles, but even the largest saltwater crocodiles rarely exceed 20 feet in length. The much greater sizes achieved by Cretaceous crocodilians suggest that the warm, productive environments of the Mesozoic era provided conditions particularly favorable for cold-blooded predators. The thermal biology of large reptiles becomes increasingly important as body size increases. Modern research on crocodilian physiology shows that these animals rely heavily on external heat sources to maintain optimal body temperatures for digestion and activity. The consistently warm global temperatures of the Cretaceous period would have eliminated the thermal constraints that limit the size of modern reptilian predators. During the late Cretaceous period, approximately 90 to 70 million years ago, marine ecosystems reached new levels of complexity and productivity. The extensive shallow seas that covered much of North America and Europe during this time created vast areas of warm, nutrient-rich water that supported enormous populations of marine organisms. These conditions fostered the evolution of some of the largest marine predators in Earth's history. Mosasaurs emerged as the dominant marine predators of the late Cretaceous, representing yet another independent evolutionary transition from land to sea. These marine lizards evolved from terrestrial monitor lizard ancestors and developed streamlined bodies optimized for aquatic pursuit predation. The largest mosasaurs reached lengths of 50 to 60 feet, rivaling the giant pliosaurs of earlier periods. Tylosaurus proriga, one of the most completely known giant mosasaurs, inhabited the western interior seaway that divided North America during the late Cretaceous. This marine predator possessed an elongated skull measuring 6 feet in length and a body adapted for sustained high-speed swimming. Unlike the ambush tactics employed by pliosaurs, mosasaurs appear to have been active pursuit predators that chased down their prey in open water. The evolution of mosasaurs demonstrates the remarkable plasticity of vertebrate anatomy when subjected to strong selective pressures for aquatic adaptation. Starting from a basic lizard body plan, these reptiles evolved paddle-shaped limbs, laterally compressed tails for propulsion, and numerous internal modifications for extended diving and high-speed swimming. This transformation occurred relatively rapidly in evolutionary terms, spanning perhaps 20 to 30 million years from the earliest semi-aquatic forms to fully oceanic giants. The feeding ecology of giant mosasaurs involved complex interactions with other large marine predators and prey species. Fossil evidence shows that mosasaurs fed on a diverse array of marine organisms, including fish, smaller marine reptiles, ammonites, and even seabirds. Some specimens preserve evidence of intraspecific combat, with bite marks and healed injuries indicating aggressive encounters between individuals of the same species. The social behavior of mosasaurs remains poorly understood due to the limitations of the fossil record, but some evidence suggests these predators may have exhibited complex behavioral patterns. Fossil sites in Kansas and other locations have yielded multiple mosasaur specimens in close proximity, raising questions about whether these animals traveled in groups or simply concentrated in areas of abundant food resources. The reproductive strategies of mosasaurs provide insights into the challenges faced by large marine reptiles. Fossil evidence indicates that mosasaurs gave birth to live young in the water, similar to modern marine mammals and ichthyosaurs. This adaptation eliminated the need to return to land for reproduction, allowing mosasaurs to remain fully aquatic throughout their life cycles. The discovery of fossilized mosasaur embryos and juveniles reveals important details about the early life history of these giants. Newly hatched mosasaurs measured 3 to 4 feet in length, indicating that even the youngest individuals were substantial predators capable of feeding on sizable prey. This large birth size may have reduced juvenile mortality by allowing young mosasaurs to avoid predation by smaller marine predators. The end Cretaceous mass extinction event that eliminated non-avian dinosaurs also devastated marine ecosystems, bringing an end to the age of giant marine reptiles. The impact of an asteroid 66 million years ago triggered global climate change and ocean acidification that collapsed marine food webs. Mosasaurs, plesiosaurs, and other large marine reptiles disappeared from the fossil record, leaving vacant ecological niches that would eventually be filled by marine mammals. The recovery of marine ecosystems following the Cretaceous extinction required millions of years and proceeded through several distinct phases. Early Paleocene oceans were characterized by low diversity and productivity, with few large predators occupying the ecological roles previously filled by marine reptiles. The gradual recovery of marine productivity during the Paleocene and Eocene epochs created conditions that would eventually support new types of marine giants. The evolution of early whales during the Eocene epoch, beginning approximately 56 million years ago, initiated a new chapter in the story of marine gigantism. The earliest whales, such as Pachycetus and Ambulocetus, retained many terrestrial characteristics while beginning the anatomical transformation that would eventually produce fully aquatic cetaceans. These early whale ancestors were much smaller than their later relatives, measuring 10 to 15 feet in length. The transition from terrestrial to fully aquatic life in early whales involved a complex series of anatomical modifications that paralleled but differed from those seen in marine reptiles. Whale ancestors gradually developed elongated skulls with posteriorly positioned nostrils, modified limb bones for swimming, and internal adaptations for extended diving. This evolutionary process, documented by an exceptional series of fossil discoveries, demonstrates the step-by-step nature of major evolutionary transitions. Basilosaurus cetoides, a fully aquatic whale from the late Eocene, represents a crucial stage in the evolution toward modern whale anatomy. This marine mammal reached lengths of 60 feet, making it larger than many modern whale species. Basilosaurus possessed a highly elongated body, with reduced hind limbs that no longer functioned for locomotion, indicating complete commitment to aquatic life. The feeding ecology of Basilosaurus differed significantly from that of modern filter-feeding whales. This ancient whale retained a full set of differentiated teeth, adapted for capturing and processing fish and smaller marine mammals. Fossil evidence suggests that Basilosaurus was an active predator that hunted in the warm, productive seas of the late Eocene. The evolution of whale echolocation represents one of the most sophisticated sensory adaptations found in any animal group. Modern toothed whales use biosonar systems that surpass human-engineered sonar in their precision and efficiency. The development of echolocation allowed whales to hunt effectively in dark or murky water and may have contributed to their evolutionary success in marine environments. The fossil record of early whale evolution reveals that echolocation abilities evolved gradually over millions of years. The earliest whales lacked the specialized anatomical structures associated with biosonar, suggesting that they relied primarily on vision and other senses for navigation and prey detection. The evolution of echolocation during the Oligocene and Miocene epochs provided whales with significant advantages for exploiting marine resources. The diversification of whales during the Oligocene and Miocene epochs produced the major lineages that dominate modern oceans. Toothed whales evolved as active predators specialized for hunting fish, squid, and other marine organisms, while baleen whales developed filter-feeding capabilities that allowed them to exploit vast populations of small planktonic organisms. The evolution of filter feeding in baleen whales represents a revolutionary feeding strategy that enabled these marine mammals to achieve unprecedented sizes. By filtering enormous volumes of water to extract small organisms, baleen whales could access food resources that were unavailable to predators that hunted individual prey items. This feeding strategy proved particularly effective in polar and subpolar waters where seasonal plankton blooms create dense concentrations of small organisms. The anatomical modifications required for filter feeding involved extensive changes to whale skull structure and the evolution of baleen plates. Baleen, composed of keratin like human fingernails, forms flexible filtering structures that constrain small organisms from seawater while allowing water to flow through. The development of this feeding apparatus required millions of years of evolutionary refinement. Early baleen whales were much smaller than their modern relatives, with most Oligocene species measuring 20 to 30 feet in length. The gradual increase in baleen whale size during the Miocene and Pliocene epochs reflects the refinement of filter feeding capabilities and the increasing productivity of polar marine ecosystems during this time. The cooling global climate of the late Cenozoic era created conditions particularly favorable for the evolution of giant filter-feeding whales. The formation of polar ice caps intensified oceanic circulation patterns and created the seasonal upwelling systems that support modern polar productivity. These environmental changes provided the abundant plankton populations necessary to sustain very large filter feeders. The relationship between ocean productivity and whale size becomes apparent when comparing different ocean basins and time periods. Modern blue whales achieve their largest sizes in polar and subpolar waters, where plankton concentrations are highest, while tropical populations tend to be smaller. This pattern suggests that food availability represents a primary constraint on maximum body size in filter-feeding whales. The physiological challenges faced by giant whales include not only obtaining sufficient food, but also processing and distributing nutrients throughout their enormous bodies. A blue whale must consume several tons of krill daily to meet its metabolic requirements, requiring feeding behaviors and digestive capabilities specifically adapted for bulk processing of small organisms. The cardiovascular system of large whales represents one of the most impressive examples of biological engineering found in any animal. The heart of a blue whale weighs approximately 400 pounds and beats only 5 to 6 times per minute when the animal is diving. This slow heart rate, combined with specialized circulatory adaptations, allows whales to remain submerged for extended periods while maintaining adequate oxygen delivery to vital organs. The diving capabilities of large whales enable them to access food resources throughout the water column, from surface plankton layers to deep water communities. Sperm whales, the largest toothed whales, can dive to depths exceeding 7,000 feet and remain submerged for over an hour while hunting deep water squid. These diving abilities provide access to prey resources unavailable to surface-dwelling predators. The evolution of deep diving capabilities required numerous physiological adaptations beyond simple breath-holding ability. Diving whales must cope with the extreme pressures encountered at great depths, while maintaining the flexibility necessary for active swimming and hunting. The specialized blood chemistry and muscle physiology of diving whales represent solutions to problems that no terrestrial animal has ever faced. The social behaviors of large whales add another dimension to their ecological success and may contribute to their ability to locate and exploit scattered food resources. Many whale species travel in groups that coordinate their feeding activities, allowing them to efficiently harvest plankton patches or cooperatively hunt large prey items. These social behaviors require sophisticated communication systems and may have influenced the evolution of complex whale vocalizations. The acoustic environment of the ocean provides whales with communication capabilities that extend over vast distances. Low-frequency calls produced by large whales can travel hundreds or even thousands of miles through deep ocean waters, allowing individuals to maintain contact across entire ocean basins. This long-range communication may enable whales to share information about food resources and coordinate movements on oceanic scales. The study of whale migration patterns reveals the truly global nature of large whale ecology. Many species undertake annual migrations that span entire ocean basins, traveling from feeding areas in polar waters to breeding grounds in tropical seas. These migrations represent some of the longest journeys undertaken by any animal and demonstrate the importance of ocean-wide habitat connectivity for maintaining whale populations. The seasonal nature of many marine ecosystems creates temporal patterns in food availability that strongly influence whale behavior and distribution. The timing of plankton blooms in polar waters determines when whales arrive at feeding areas, while the breeding cycles of prey species influence hunting success and energy acquisition. These temporal relationships highlight the complex interactions between whale biology and marine ecosystem dynamics. The modern distribution of giant whales reflects both current environmental conditions and the evolutionary history of different whale lineages. Blue whales occur primarily in polar and subpolar waters, where their preferred prey, krill, reaches highest concentrations. Sperm whales show a more cosmopolitan distribution, but concentrate in areas where deep water squid populations provide abundant food resources. The population sizes of modern giant whales represent only a fraction of their historical abundances prior to commercial whaling. Blue whale populations, estimated to have numbered in the hundreds of thousands before industrial whaling began, declined to perhaps a few thousand individuals by the mid-20th century. While some populations have shown signs of recovery, none have returned to pre-whaling levels. The conservation challenges facing modern giant whales extend beyond the historical impacts of whaling to include contemporary threats such as ship strikes, entanglement in fishing gear, and climate change effects on marine ecosystems. The recovery of whale populations requires not only protection from direct human impacts, but also maintenance of the productive marine ecosystems that support their food webs. The study of whale evolution and ecology provides crucial insights into the factors that enable animals to achieve extreme body sizes in marine environments. The success of whales as ocean giants reflects their efficient feeding strategies, sophisticated physiological adaptations, and ability to exploit the three-dimensional habitat provided by marine environments. These factors continue to operate today, maintaining whales as the largest animals on Earth. The comparison between ancient marine reptiles and modern whales reveals both similarities and differences in how vertebrates adapt to life in oceanic environments. Both groups achieved large body sizes through exploitation of abundant marine food resources, but they employed different anatomical solutions and feeding strategies. Marine reptiles relied primarily on active predation of large prey items, while the largest modern whales achieved their size through filter feeding on small organisms. The thermal biology of marine giants illustrates fundamental differences between reptilian and mammalian approaches to achieving large size. Ancient marine reptiles depended on warm environmental temperatures to maintain the metabolic rates necessary for their enormous bodies, while whales generate internal heat through mammalian metabolism and maintain elevated body temperatures even in frigid polar waters. These physiological differences help explain why marine mammals, rather than marine reptiles, dominate modern oceans. The ability to maintain high body temperatures independently of environmental conditions provides mammals with greater ecological flexibility and allows them to exploit seasonal food resources in polar seas. This thermal independence may represent a crucial advantage for achieving maximum body size in marine environments. The evolutionary history of marine giants demonstrates that the ocean's capacity to support very large animals has remained relatively constant throughout Earth's history, even as the specific types of organisms filling these roles have changed dramatically. From giant ichthyosaurs to modern blue whales, marine environments have consistently produced animals that dwarf their terrestrial contemporaries. This pattern suggests that the physical and ecological properties of marine environments create consistent selective pressures favoring the evolution of large body size. The buoyancy provided by water, the three-dimensional nature of aquatic habitats, and the potential for filter feeding on abundant small organisms all contribute to making the ocean an ideal environment for the evolution of animal giants. The future of marine gigantism will likely depend on the maintenance of productive ocean ecosystems capable of supporting the complex food webs required by very large animals. Climate change, ocean acidification, and other anthropogenic impacts on marine environments pose significant challenges to the continued existence of ocean giants. Understanding the ecological requirements of these magnificent animals becomes increasingly important as human activities continue to modify marine ecosystems on a global scale. The story of Earth's largest animals reveals the intimate connections between body size, environmental conditions, and evolutionary opportunity. From the warm seas of the Triassic that nurtured giant ichthyosaurs to the productive polar waters that sustain modern blue whales, the evolution of animal giants reflects the dynamic relationship between life and its environment across hundreds of millions of years of Earth's history. The evolutionary arms race between marine predators and their prey created increasingly sophisticated adaptations on both sides. Giant marine reptiles developed enhanced sensory capabilities to locate prey in the vast expanses of ancient oceans, while their potential victims evolved defensive strategies ranging from armor plating to rapid escape responses. This predator-prey dynamic drove continuous evolutionary innovation throughout the Mesozoic era. The sensory adaptations of marine giants reveal the importance of perception in aquatic environments where visibility can be severely limited. Large marine predators required acute senses to detect prey across the three-dimensional hunting grounds of ancient seas. Fossil evidence suggests that many giant marine reptiles possessed enlarged eye sockets and specialized inner ear structures that enhance their ability to navigate and hunt in aquatic environments. The evolution of enhanced underwater vision in marine reptiles involved multiple anatomical modifications. Enlarged eye sockets in fossil skulls indicate that many species possessed eyes significantly larger than those of their terrestrial relatives. These oversized visual organs would have gathered more light in the dim underwater environment, extending the effective hunting range of predators in deeper waters. Some marine reptiles evolved eyes positioned on the tops of their skulls, an arrangement that allowed them to scan for prey while remaining largely concealed below. This positioning strategy, similar to that employed by modern crocodiles, would have been particularly effective for ambush predators that lurk near the surface of ancient seas, waiting for unsuspecting prey to pass overhead. The inner ear structures of marine reptiles show adaptations for maintaining balance and orientation in three-dimensional aquatic environments. The semicircular canals, responsible for detecting rotational movement, were often enlarged compared to those of terrestrial relatives, suggesting enhanced ability to track complex underwater movements during pursuit or evasion behaviors. Fossil evidence indicates that some marine reptiles may have possessed rudimentary echolocation capabilities, though these systems were likely much less sophisticated than those found in modern toothed whales. Specialized bone structures in the skulls of certain species suggest the presence of sound-producing or sound-receiving organs that could have aided in navigation and prey detection. The development of enhanced chemoreception in marine environments allowed predators to detect chemical traces left by prey animals in the water. Marine reptiles possessed enlarged nasal passages and specialized chemical-detecting organs that could track scent trails through vast oceanic territories. This capability would have been particularly valuable for locating prey in murky water or during nighttime hunting. The hydrodynamic efficiency of marine giants determined their success as predators and their ability to compete for limited food resources. Streamlined body shapes reduced drag during swimming, while specialized fin and tail arrangements maximized propulsive efficiency. The most successful marine predators achieved body forms that balanced speed, maneuverability, and striking power. The tailfin designs of different marine reptile groups reveal diverse approaches to underwater propulsion. Ichthyosaurs evolved vertical tail fins similar to those of modern fish and marine mammals, providing efficient thrust for sustained high-speed swimming. Mosasaurs developed laterally compressed tails that functioned through side-to-side undulation, while plesiosaurs relied primarily on their four large flippers for propulsion. The flipper morphology of marine reptiles shows remarkable convergent evolution with modern marine mammals. Despite evolving from different terrestrial ancestors, both ichthyosaurs and whales developed elongated digit bones within paddle-shaped appendages. This similarity demonstrates the optimal engineering solutions for underwater locomotion in large vertebrates. Swimming mechanics in giant marine reptiles required precise coordination between multiple propulsive surfaces. Long-necked plesiosaurs used their flippers in alternating patterns that resembled underwater flight, while maintaining their necks as flexible striking weapons. Short-necked pliosaurs employed more power-focused swimming techniques that emphasized sudden acceleration for ambush attacks. The energetic costs of maintaining large body size in marine environments created selective pressures for efficient metabolism and feeding strategies. Giant marine predators required enormous quantities of food to fuel their massive bodies, leading to specializations in hunting techniques and prey selection that maximized energy return on hunting investment. Metabolic rate estimates for extinct marine reptiles remain challenging due to uncertainties about their thermal biology. However, bone histology studies suggest that many large marine reptiles maintained growth rates and activity levels comparable to those of modern warm-blooded animals. This evidence indicates that gigantism in marine reptiles was supported by elevated metabolic rates rather than the slow metabolism typical of modern large reptiles. The feeding frequency requirements of giant marine predators would have influenced their distribution patterns and social behaviors. Large predators with high metabolic demands must feed regularly to maintain their energy balance, potentially leading to territorial behaviors or migration patterns that ensured access to reliable food sources. Prey size selection in giant marine predators shows interesting scaling relationships. The largest marine reptiles often targeted prey that was substantial, but still manageable relative to their own size. This preference for intermediate-sized prey may have maximized energy gain while minimizing handling time and injury risk during capture attempts. The digestive systems of marine giants required specializations for processing large quantities of food efficiently. Enlarged stomach capacity and accelerated digestion rates would have been necessary to support the enormous energy requirements of these predators. Some fossil specimens preserve evidence of stomach contents that reveal the types and quantities of prey consumed. Gastroliths, or stomach stones, found associated with some marine reptile fossils, provide evidence of specialized digestion strategies. These deliberately swallowed stones may have aided in grinding food within the stomach or helped maintain neutral buoyancy during diving. The presence of gastroliths suggests sophisticated behavioral adaptations for optimizing digestion and buoyancy control. The reproductive strategies of marine giants present fascinating puzzles about how these animals balance the energy cost of reproduction with their enormous metabolic demands. Large marine reptiles faced unique challenges in producing and caring for offspring while maintaining their own massive bodies in aquatic environments. Fossil evidence of marine reptile reproduction reveals diverse approaches to ensuring offspring survival. Some species produced large numbers of relatively small young, relying on quantity to ensure that some individuals survived to adulthood. Others invested heavily in fewer, larger offspring that had better survival prospects, but required greater parental energy investment. The gestation periods and birth sizes of giant marine reptiles would have represented significant physiological challenges for females. Carrying large embryos to term while maintaining swimming ability and hunting effectiveness required anatomical and behavioral adaptations that are poorly understood from fossil evidence alone. Parental care behaviors in marine reptiles remain largely mysterious due to the limitations of the fossil record. However, some evidence suggests that certain species may have provided protection or guidance to their young during vulnerable early life stages. The evolution of such behaviors would have required sophisticated social instincts in animals often portrayed as primitive predators. The seasonal breeding patterns of marine giants likely coincided with periods of maximum food availability to ensure that females had adequate energy reserves for reproduction. These reproductive cycles may have influenced migration patterns and territorial behaviors, creating complex social dynamics within populations of giant marine predators. The geographic distribution of marine giants during different geological periods reflects both environmental conditions and evolutionary relationships. Different ocean basins supported distinct communities of large marine reptiles, leading to biogeographic patterns that reveal ancient oceanic connections and barriers. Endemic species of giant marine reptiles evolved in isolated ocean basins where geographic barriers prevented genetic exchange with related populations. These endemic forms often developed unique anatomical features and ecological adaptations that reflected local environmental conditions and prey availability. The cosmopolitan distribution of certain marine reptile groups suggests their ability to disperse across oceanic barriers and adapt to diverse marine environments. Species with global distributions provide insights into ancient ocean current patterns and the connectivity between different marine ecosystems. Migration patterns in ancient marine giants may have rivaled those of modern whales in their scale and complexity. Large marine reptiles with high metabolic demands would have benefited from following seasonal abundance patterns of prey species, potentially traveling vast distances between feeding and breeding areas. The paleobiogeography of marine giants reveals changing patterns of oceanic connectivity as continents drifted and sea levels fluctuated throughout geological time. The breakup of supercontinents created new ocean basins and circulation patterns that influenced the distribution and evolution of marine life. Continental shelf environments played crucial roles in supporting populations of marine giants by providing productive shallow water habitats. These areas combined the benefits of high biological productivity with access to both pelagic and benthic food resources, creating ideal conditions for large predators. Deep ocean environments of the Mesozoic era remain poorly understood due to limited fossil preservation in abyssal sediments. However, the occasional discovery of giant marine reptile remains in deep water deposits suggests that some species ventured into or inhabited the open ocean, far from continental shelves. The vertical distribution of marine giants within ancient water columns reveals ecological partitioning based on depth preferences and prey availability. Surface-dwelling species exploited abundant planktonic communities and fish populations, while deep-diving forms accessed cephalopod and benthic prey unavailable to shallow water predators. Oxygen levels in ancient oceans significantly influenced the distribution and physiology of marine giants. During periods of oceanic anoxia, when oxygen-depleted zones expanded, large marine predators may have been restricted to well-oxygenated surface waters or specific geographic regions with favorable circulation patterns. The chemistry of ancient seawater affected both the physiology of marine organisms and the preservation potential of their remains. Variations in ocean pH, salinity, and mineral content influenced calcification processes, buoyancy regulation, and the formation of the fossil record that preserves evidence of ancient marine life. Temperature gradients in ancient oceans created diverse thermal environments that supported different types of marine communities. Tropical seas favored high-diversity ecosystems with complex predator-prey relationships, while cooler waters supported different assemblages of organisms adapted to lower temperatures. Seasonal variations in ancient marine environments influenced the behavior and distribution of marine giants. In regions with pronounced seasonal cycles, large predators may have timed their reproduction, migration, and feeding activities to coincide with periods of optimal conditions and prey availability. The evolution of specialized feeding appendages in marine giants demonstrates the diverse solutions that evolved for capturing and processing prey in aquatic environments. Different lineages developed unique anatomical innovations that maximized their effectiveness as marine predators. Filter feeding adaptations in some ancient marine reptiles represent evolutionary experiments that preceded the highly successful baleen whale feeding strategy. Certain species evolved modified teeth or jaw structures that may have allowed them to strain small organisms from seawater, though these early attempts at filter feeding were less refined than modern whale systems. The jaw mechanics of giant marine predators reveals sophisticated engineering solutions for generating powerful bite forces underwater. Large marine reptiles evolved skull architectures that concentrated muscle forces effectively while maintaining hydrodynamic efficiency and allowing for rapid jaw closure during prey capture attempts. Tooth replacement patterns in marine giants ensured continuous maintenance of effective hunting equipment throughout their lifespans. Many species possessed conveyor belt-like tooth replacement systems that produced new teeth continuously, compensating for the wear and loss associated with capturing large, struggling prey. Specialized prey handling behaviors in marine predators required sophisticated neuromuscular coordination and may have involved learned components passed between generations. The ability to efficiently process different types of prey would have provided significant advantages in diverse marine environments with varying food resources. The social behaviors of marine giants remain among the most enigmatic aspects of their biology due to the difficulty of preserving behavioral evidence in the fossil record. However, various lines of evidence suggest that some large marine reptiles may have exhibited complex social interactions and cooperative behaviors. Aggregation sites preserved in the fossil record indicate that certain marine reptiles gathered in large numbers at specific locations. These mass occurrences might represent feeding aggregations around abundant food sources, breeding congregations, or mass mortality events caused by environmental catastrophes. Size-based social hierarchies may have existed within populations of giant marine predators, with larger individuals dominating access to prime feeding territories or mating opportunities. Such hierarchical systems would have influenced population structure and reproductive success patterns within species. Cooperative hunting behaviors in marine giants could have enhanced their effectiveness against large or dangerous prey. Some evidence suggests that certain marine reptiles may have worked together to capture prey items that would have been difficult for individual predators to handle alone. Communication systems in ancient marine environments likely involved acoustic, chemical, and visual signals adapted for transmission through water. Large marine reptiles may have used low-frequency vocalizations for long-distance communication, similar to modern whales, though direct evidence for such behaviors remains elusive. Territorial behaviors in marine giants would have influenced their spatial distribution and population densities. Large predators with high energy requirements may have defended feeding territories against competitors, leading to spacing patterns that optimized resource utilization while minimizing aggressive encounters. The decline of marine giants at various points throughout Earth's history illustrates the vulnerability of large animals to environmental change and ecosystem disruption. Mass extinction events repeatedly eliminated the largest marine predators, resetting evolutionary trajectories and opening ecological opportunities for new lineages. Recovery patterns following marine extinctions reveal the timescales required for ecosystems to rebuild complex food webs capable of supporting giant predators. The re-establishment of marine gigantism typically required millions of years of evolutionary experimentation and ecological development. Competitive replacement of marine giant lineages demonstrates the dynamic nature of evolutionary success in marine environments. As new groups of marine predators evolved more effective adaptations, they often displaced previously successful lineages through competitive exclusion or direct predation. Environmental triggers for marine extinctions included asteroid impacts, volcanic eruptions, climate change, and oceanic chemistry alterations. Each type of environmental disturbance affected marine ecosystems differently, but large predators consistently proved vulnerable to disruptions in food web stability. Survival strategies during extinction events favored smaller, more generalized organisms over large, specialized predators. This pattern explains why marine giants repeatedly disappeared during crisis periods, while smaller marine animals persisted to form the foundation for post-extinction recovery. The fossil record of marine giants provides crucial insights into the factors that control maximum body size in aquatic environments. Comparative studies of different time periods reveal how environmental conditions, prey availability, and competitive pressures influence the evolution of gigantism in marine ecosystems. Biomechanical constraints on marine giant morphology become apparent when comparing the anatomy of different lineages that achieved large size. Convergent evolution repeatedly produced similar solutions for underwater locomotion, prey capture, and buoyancy control, suggesting optimal engineering designs for marine gigantism. Physiological limits on marine giant metabolism may have ultimately constrained maximum achievable size, even in the most favorable environments. The scaling relationships between body size, metabolic rate, and food requirements create upper bounds on how large marine predators can become while maintaining viable populations. Ecological carrying capacity in ancient marine environments determined how many giant predators could coexist simultaneously. The productivity of marine ecosystems and the efficiency of energy transfer through food webs established limits on the total biomass of large predators that could be supported. Evolutionary trends toward increasing size in marine lineages often culminated in extinction or evolutionary dead ends. The largest members of many marine reptile groups were among the last to disappear, suggesting that extreme gigantism may represent an evolutionary trap rather than a sustainable adaptation. The legacy of marine giants extends beyond their impressive size to encompass their roles as ecosystem engineers that shaped ancient marine communities. Large marine predators influenced prey evolution, nutrient cycling, and habitat structure in ways that affected entire marine ecosystems. Predation pressure from marine giants drove defensive innovations in prey species that cascaded throughout marine food webs. The evolution of armor, speed, schooling behaviors, and other anti-predator adaptations in smaller marine organisms reflects the profound influence of giant predators on marine evolution. Nutrient distribution by marine giants through their feeding, migration, and waste production activities influenced primary productivity patterns in ancient oceans. Large marine predators transported nutrients between different ocean regions and depth zones, affecting the distribution of marine plant communities. Habitat modification by marine giants through their feeding activities altered seafloor communities and sediment patterns. Large marine reptiles that fed on bottom-dwelling organisms disrupted sediment layers and influenced the distribution of benthic communities through bioturbation effects. Trophic cascades triggered by marine giant predation affected multiple levels of marine food webs simultaneously. Changes in giant predator populations would have influenced prey abundance, which in turn affected lower trophic levels, including primary producers and decomposer organisms. The modern absence of marine reptile giants represents a fundamental shift in marine ecosystem structure compared to Mesozoic conditions. Current marine ecosystems lack the diversity of large predators that characterized ancient seas, with marine mammals filling only some of the ecological roles once occupied by marine reptiles. Comparative ecology between ancient marine reptiles and modern marine mammals reveals both similarities and differences in how vertebrates adapt to life as ocean giants. Both groups achieved large size and sophisticated aquatic adaptations, but through different evolutionary pathways and anatomical solutions. The evolutionary replacement of marine reptiles by marine mammals illustrates the contingent nature of evolutionary success. The survival of early mammals through the end Cretaceous extinction provided opportunities for mammalian diversification into marine environments previously dominated by reptiles. Physiological advantages of mammalian metabolism over reptilian physiology may explain the success of whales in achieving extreme sizes in modern oceans. The ability to maintain high body temperatures independently of environmental conditions provides mammals with greater ecological flexibility than their reptilian predecessors. Conservation implications of studying ancient marine giants include understanding the environmental conditions necessary for supporting very large marine animals. The fossil record reveals the types of marine ecosystems that can sustain giant predators and the consequences of environmental disruption for large marine fauna. Climate change effects on modern marine ecosystems can be informed by studying the responses of ancient marine giants to past environmental changes. The fossil record provides examples of how marine megafauna responded to warming, cooling, and acidification events throughout Earth's history. Ocean productivity requirements for supporting marine giants become apparent through comparisons between productive ancient seas and modern marine conditions. The high biological productivity of certain geological periods created conditions that supported more diverse communities of large marine predators than exist today. Human impacts on marine ecosystems parallel some of the environmental disruptions that eliminated ancient marine giants. Understanding the vulnerability of large marine animals to ecosystem disruption provides context for contemporary conservation challenges facing marine megafauna. Technological advances in paleontological research continue to reveal new insights about ancient marine giants. Improved fossil preparation techniques, CT scanning, and chemical analysis methods provide unprecedented detail about the anatomy and ecology of extinct marine reptiles. Computational modeling of ancient marine ecosystems allows scientists to test hypotheses about the ecological interactions and environmental requirements of marine giants. These models integrate data from multiple sources to reconstruct the complex dynamics of ancient marine food webs. Isotopic analysis of marine giant fossils reveals information about their diet, migration patterns, and position in ancient food webs. Chemical signatures preserved in fossilized bones and teeth provide direct evidence of feeding ecology and environmental conditions experienced by these animals. Biomechanical modeling of marine giant locomotion and feeding provides insights into their functional capabilities and ecological performance. Computer simulations can test hypotheses about swimming efficiency, bite force, and other aspects of marine giant biology that cannot be directly observed. Future discoveries of marine giant fossils will undoubtedly reveal new species and provide additional insights into the ecology and evolution of large marine animals. Continued exploration of marine sedimentary rocks promises to uncover more complete specimens and fill gaps in our understanding of ancient marine ecosystems. The search for marine giant fossils requires systematic exploration of appropriate geological formations and careful attention to preservation conditions. Marine sedimentary rocks of Mesozoic age represent the most promising targets for discovering new specimens of giant marine reptiles. Collaborative research efforts between paleontologists, marine biologists, and oceanographers provide interdisciplinary perspectives on marine giant evolution and ecology. These collaborations integrate fossil data with modern marine ecosystem studies to develop comprehensive understanding of marine gigantism. Educational outreach about marine giants helps communicate the importance of marine ecosystem conservation and the deep time perspective on environmental change. Public interest in ancient marine reptiles provides opportunities to discuss contemporary marine conservation challenges and the interconnectedness of ancient and modern marine life. The study of marine giants ultimately reveals the remarkable diversity of solutions that evolution has produced for life in marine environments. From the streamlined ichthyosaurs of the Triassic to the massive pliosaurs of the Jurassic and the filter-feeding whales of today, marine ecosystems have repeatedly given rise to animals of unprecedented size and sophistication. The persistence of gigantism in marine environments across hundreds of millions of years demonstrates the unique advantages that water provides for supporting very large animals. The buoyancy, thermal stability, and three-dimensional habitat structure of marine environments create conditions that consistently favor the evolution of animal giants. The cyclical nature of marine giant evolution, with periods of diversification followed by extinction and replacement, reflects the dynamic relationship between life and environment that characterizes Earth's history. Each major environmental transition has reshaped marine ecosystems and provided new opportunities for evolutionary innovation. The convergent evolution of similar adaptations in distantly related marine giants illustrates the power of natural selection to find optimal solutions for life in aquatic environments. Despite their different evolutionary origins, marine reptiles and marine mammals have independently evolved many similar features for achieving large size and aquatic success. The interdependence between marine giants and their ecosystems emphasizes the importance of understanding ancient marine life in the context of entire marine communities rather than as isolated species. Giant marine predators were integral components of complex ecological networks that shape the structure and function of ancient marine ecosystems. The documentation of marine giant diversity throughout Earth's history provides crucial baseline data for understanding natural patterns of marine ecosystem structure and function. This historical perspective informs current understanding of marine biodiversity and the factors that control ecosystem stability and resilience. The continued study of marine giants offers opportunities to understand fundamental principles of evolution, ecology, and environmental science that apply to both ancient and modern marine systems. These magnificent animals serve as windows into the deep history of life in the oceans and the ongoing processes that shape marine biodiversity. The preservation of marine giant fossils represents an invaluable scientific resource that continues to yield new discoveries and insights decades after initial collection. Museum collections of marine reptile specimens provide research materials for successive generations of scientists using increasingly sophisticated analytical techniques. The integration of marine giant research with contemporary marine science creates opportunities for understanding long-term trends in marine ecosystem evolution and the factors that promote or constrain the evolution of large marine animals. This integrated approach provides essential context for predicting how marine ecosystems might respond to future environmental changes. The legacy of marine giants extends beyond their scientific importance to encompass their cultural and educational value in helping people understand the deep history of life on Earth. These remarkable animals capture public imagination and provide powerful examples of evolutionary adaptation and the interconnectedness of life and environment across geological time. The story of marine giants ultimately demonstrates that the largest animals in Earth's history achieved their remarkable sizes through the unique properties of marine environments and the evolutionary innovations that allowed them to exploit these environments effectively. From ancient seas dominated by marine reptiles to modern oceans ruled by whales, the ocean has consistently nurtured life forms that push the boundaries of what biology can achieve. The transition from reptilian to mammalian dominance in marine ecosystems represents one of the most significant shifts in the history of marine life. This transition, spanning the catastrophic end of the Cretaceous period and the subsequent recovery during the Paleogene, fundamentally altered the nature of marine gigantism and established the foundation for modern marine ecosystems. The early Paleocene oceans that emerged from the ashes of the Cretaceous extinction were vastly different from the productive marine ecosystems that had supported diverse communities of marine reptile giants. The collapse of marine food webs eliminated not only the large predators, but also many of the prey species that had sustained them, creating simplified ecosystems with reduced biological complexity. Recovery of marine ecosystem productivity during the Paleocene proceeded gradually as surviving lineages diversified to fill vacant ecological niches. Early marine mammals were small, generalized predators that bore little resemblance to the ocean giants they would eventually become. These modest ancestors possessed anatomical features inherited from terrestrial mammals, including 4 limbs adapted for walking on land and fur-covered bodies suited for air breathing. The evolutionary transition from terrestrial to aquatic life in early whales required millions of years of anatomical modification and behavioral adaptation. Fossil discoveries from Pakistan, India, and Egypt have revealed the step-by-step process by which land-dwelling mammals transformed into fully aquatic marine giants, providing one of the most complete evolutionary transition series known from the fossil record. Pachycetus, one of the earliest whale ancestors from the early Eocene of Pakistan, retained the basic body plan of a terrestrial mammal while showing initial adaptations for a semi-aquatic lifestyle. This wolf-sized predator possessed elongated skull proportions and modified ear structures that enhanced underwater hearing, but it retained functional legs and was capable of terrestrial locomotion. Ambulocetus natans, the famous walking whale from slightly younger Eocene deposits, represents a more advanced stage in the transition to aquatic life. This 4-meter-long predator possessed enlarged hands and feet that functioned as paddles, while retaining the ability to move on land. Its name, meaning walking whale, captures the intermediate nature of its adaptations between terrestrial and aquatic lifestyles. Rhodhocetus, from the Middle Eocene of Pakistan, shows further progression toward fully aquatic anatomy. This whale ancestor possessed a more streamlined body shape, reduced limb size, and modified vertebral column that allowed for the undulatory swimming motions characteristic of modern whales. However, it retained small but functional hind limbs and was still capable of limited terrestrial movement. Basilosaurus, the giant whale of the late Eocene, achieved body lengths approaching those of modern large whales, while retaining vestigial hind limbs that no longer functioned for locomotion. This fully aquatic predator demonstrates that whales had achieved large size relatively early in their evolutionary history, long before the evolution of the filter-feeding adaptations that characterize modern giants. The anatomical innovations that enabled the transition from terrestrial to aquatic gigantism in whales paralleled, but differed significantly, from those that had evolved in marine reptiles. Whales developed entirely different solutions for underwater locomotion, employing vertical tail flukes and dorsoventral body undulation rather than the lateral undulation used by marine reptiles. The evolution of whale echolocation represents a sensory adaptation without parallel among marine reptiles. This sophisticated biosonar system allows toothed whales to navigate and hunt in complete darkness, providing capabilities that exceed those of any artificial sonar system developed by human technology. The evolutionary development of echolocation opened new ecological opportunities for marine mammals. Whale thermoregulation abilities provided crucial advantages over their marine reptile predecessors. The capacity to maintain elevated body temperatures through internal heat production allowed whales to remain active in cold water environments and exploit seasonal food resources in polar regions that would have been unavailable to temperature-dependent marine reptiles. The diversification of whales during the Oligocene and Miocene epochs produced the major lineages that dominate modern oceans. The evolutionary split between toothed whales and baleen whales occurred during this period, establishing two fundamentally different approaches to marine predation that persist today. Toothed whales, or odontocetes, retained the active predation strategies employed by their early whale ancestors, but refined these techniques through the evolution of echolocation and sophisticated social hunting behaviors. Modern sperm whales, the largest toothed whales, represent the culmination of this evolutionary trajectory toward large-bodied, deep-diving predators. Sperm whales achieve their enormous size through specialization for hunting large deep-water cephalopods, particularly giant squid, octopi, and other large cephalopods that inhabit the deep ocean trenches and abyssal plains. The ability of sperm whales to dive to depths exceeding 7,000 feet and remain submerged for over an hour represents one of the most extreme physiological adaptations found in any marine mammal. The hunting strategies employed by sperm whales in the deep ocean remain partially mysterious due to the inaccessibility of their preferred hunting grounds. However, evidence suggests these marine giants use echolocation to locate prey in the complete darkness of the deep sea, then employ powerful suction feeding to capture large squid. The stomach contents of stranded sperm whales have revealed the remains of colossal squid measuring over 30 feet in length. demonstrating the impressive size of prey these whales can subdue. Baleen whales, or mystic ETs, evolved along an entirely different trajectory that ultimately enabled them to achieve the largest body sizes in Earth's history. The evolution of filter feeding represented a revolutionary feeding strategy that allowed these marine mammals to exploit vast populations of small planktonic organisms rather than competing for individual large prey items. The anatomical modifications required for filter feeding involved extensive restructuring of whale skull architecture and the evolution of baleen plates. These flexible, brush-like structures composed of keratin allow whales to strain enormous volumes of seawater, retaining small organisms while expelling water through specialized throat pleats that can expand dramatically during feeding. Early baleen whales from the Oligocene epoch were significantly smaller than their modern descendants, measuring 20 to 30 feet in length. The gradual increase in size among filter-feeding whales during the Miocene and Pliocene epochs reflects both the refinement of their feeding apparatus and changes in global ocean productivity that created abundant concentrations of suitable prey. The cooling climate of the late Cenozoic era established the oceanographic conditions that would ultimately enable the evolution of the largest animals in Earth's history. The formation of Antarctic ice sheets intensified global ocean circulation patterns and created the seasonal upwelling systems that characterize modern polar seas. These upwelling zones bring nutrient-rich deep water to the surface, supporting explosive blooms of phytoplankton that form the foundation of polar marine food webs. The seasonal nature of these productivity cycles created vast but temporally concentrated food resources that favored the evolution of large filter-feeding whales capable of consuming enormous quantities of small organisms during brief feeding seasons. Blue whales represent the ultimate expression of filter-feeding gigantism, achieving body masses that exceed those of any known animal from Earth's history. These marine mammals can consume up to 4 tons of krill daily during peak feeding periods, processing this food through digestive systems specifically adapted for bulk handling of small planktonic crustaceans. The feeding behavior of blue whales involves complex maneuvers that demonstrate the sophisticated coordination required to operate bodies of such enormous size. During feeding, blue whales accelerate toward dense krill swarms, expand their throat pleats to engulf massive volumes of water and prey, then use their tongues to force water out through their baleen plates while retaining the concentrated krill. The cardiovascular system of blue whales represents one of the most impressive examples of biological engineering found in any organism. The heart alone weighs approximately 400 pounds and pumps blood through arteries large enough for small children to crawl through. This massive circulatory system must distribute oxygen and nutrients throughout a body that can span over 100 feet in length. The respiratory adaptations of large whales enable them to remain submerged for extended periods, while their enormous bodies continue functioning at high metabolic rates. Blue whales can hold their breath for up to 20 minutes during deep dives, though they typically surface every 5 to 10 minutes during normal activities. Their lungs can hold over 5,000 litres of air, allowing for efficient gas exchange during brief surface intervals. The thermoregulatory challenges faced by blue whales in cold polar waters require sophisticated physiological adaptations. Despite their enormous size, these marine mammals must maintain core body temperatures around 37 degrees Celsius, even when surrounded by near-freezing seawater. They accomplish this through thick blubber layers, countercurrent heat exchange systems in their extremities, and metabolic heat production from their massive internal organs. The migration patterns of blue whales represent some of the longest journeys undertaken by any animal, spanning entire ocean basins as these giants travel between feeding areas in polar waters and breeding grounds in temperate or tropical seas. These migrations can cover distances exceeding 12,000 miles annually, demonstrating the global scale of blue whale ecology. The navigational abilities that enable such precise long-distance migrations remain poorly understood, but likely involve multiple sensory systems, including magnetic field detection, acoustic landmark recognition, and celestial navigation. The capacity to navigate accurately across vast oceanic distances while maintaining awareness of seasonal food availability represents a remarkable feat of biological computation. The social behaviors of blue whales add complexity to their ecological requirements and may influence their feeding efficiency and reproductive success. While often described as solitary animals, blue whales frequently aggregate in feeding areas where they may coordinate their activities to exploit patchy krill distributions more effectively. The acoustic environment of blue whale communication spans oceanic basins through the production and reception of extremely low-frequency calls. These vocalizations, with fundamental frequencies below 20 Hz, can travel hundreds of miles through deep ocean sound channels, allowing individual whales to maintain contact across distances that would isolate most other animals. The evolutionary history that produced blue whales reveals the complex interplay between environmental opportunity and anatomical innovation that enables extreme gigantism. The path from small terrestrial mammals to the largest animals ever known required dozens of millions of years and countless intermediate forms, each representing solutions to the challenges of aquatic life at increasing scales. The success of filter-feeding whales in achieving maximum body size illustrates fundamental principles about energy flow in marine ecosystems. By feeding directly on primary consumers rather than higher trophic levels, blue whales minimize energy losses associated with food web transfers and gain access to the vast productivity of polar marine systems. The comparison between ancient marine reptiles and modern whales reveals both convergent solutions and fundamental differences in approaches to marine gigantism. Both groups achieved large body sizes through exploitation of abundant marine food resources, but they employed different feeding strategies, metabolic systems, and anatomical architectures. Marine reptiles of the Mesozoic relied primarily on predation of large individual prey items, limiting their maximum sustainable population sizes and making them vulnerable to disruptions in prey availability. Modern baleen whales, by contrast, exploit lower trophic levels with enormous standing biomass, providing more stable food resources that can support larger individual body sizes. The thermal independence of whales compared to marine reptiles represents a crucial advantage for achieving gigantism in variable ocean environments. While marine reptiles required consistently warm temperatures to maintain the metabolic rates necessary for their large bodies, whales can maintain high activity levels even in frigid polar waters through endothermic metabolism. The evolutionary replacement of marine reptiles by marine mammals following the Cretaceous extinction illustrates the contingent nature of evolutionary success. The survival of small mammals through the end Cretaceous catastrophe provided opportunities for mammalian radiation into marine environments previously dominated by reptiles, ultimately leading to the evolution of animals larger than any that had existed before. The physiological advantages of mammalian metabolism become particularly apparent when considering the energy budgets of giant marine animals. The ability to generate internal heat through metabolic processes allows whales to remain active in seasonal environments where food availability fluctuates dramatically, enabling them to exploit the highly productive but temporally variable polar marine ecosystems. The sensory capabilities of modern marine giants surpass those of their ancient predecessors in several important respects. Whale echolocation provides three-dimensional acoustic imaging capabilities that allow precise navigation and prey detection in environments where vision is severely limited. This sensory advantage may have contributed to the competitive success of marine mammals over marine reptiles in post-Mesozoic oceans. The social complexity of whale societies adds dimensions to marine gigantism that appear to have been absent among marine reptiles. Cooperative feeding behaviors, cultural transmission of knowledge, and complex communication systems may enhance the feeding efficiency and survival success of individual whales, supporting larger population sizes and potentially larger individual body sizes. The reproductive strategies of giant whales involve extended parental care periods that ensure high offspring survival rates, despite relatively low reproductive output. Blue whale calves measure approximately 23 feet at birth and gain weight at rates exceeding 200 pounds per day during nursing, representing one of the most rapid growth rates found in any animal. The milk produced by blue whale mothers contains fat concentrations approaching 50%, providing the energy-dense nutrition necessary to support such explosive growth rates. This high-quality parental investment strategy contrasts with the reproductive approaches of most marine reptiles, which typically produced larger numbers of smaller, less provisioned offspring. The longevity of large whales enables them to accumulate decades of experience in locating food resources and navigating oceanic environments. Blue whales may live for 80 to 90 years, allowing individuals to experience multiple climate cycles and develop sophisticated knowledge of seasonal and interannual variations in food availability. The population dynamics of blue whales reflect the challenges and advantages of extreme body size in marine environments. Pre-whaling populations may have numbered in the hundreds of thousands, representing enormous biomass concentrations that rivaled those of entire terrestrial ecosystems. The recovery of these populations following commercial whaling demonstrates both the resilience and vulnerability of marine giants. The feeding ecology of blue whales reveals the intimate connections between global climate systems and marine productivity that sustain the largest animals on Earth. The formation and melting of sea ice, upwelling intensity, and seasonal timing of phytoplankton blooms all influence krill abundance and distribution, directly affecting blue whale feeding success and population dynamics. The krill species that form the primary food source for blue whales represents some of the most abundant animals on Earth, with estimated global biomass exceeding that of all marine fish combined. These small crustaceans form dense swarms that can extend for miles and contain millions of individuals per cubic meter, creating the concentrated food patches necessary to sustain filter-feeding giants. The seasonal migrations of krill populations drive the movement patterns of blue whales and other filter-feeding species. The ability of whales to track and predict krill abundance across vast oceanic distances requires sophisticated sensory capabilities and possibly cultural knowledge passed between generations through social learning. The diving capabilities of blue whales enable them to access krill populations throughout the water column, from surface swarms to concentrations, at depths exceeding 500 meters. These deep feeding abilities expand the available food resources and may provide access to higher quality prey during periods when surface productivity is reduced. The energetic efficiency of blue whale feeding strategies represents an optimal solution to the challenges of sustaining enormous body mass in marine environments. The ability to process thousands of cubic meters of water per feeding event while retaining concentrated prey demonstrates remarkable coordination between locomotion, jaw mechanics, and digestive processing. The hydrodynamic properties of blue whale body shape minimize energy costs during the long-distance swimming required for migration and feeding activities. Despite their enormous size, blue whales can achieve sustained swimming speeds of over 20 miles per hour and brief sprint speeds exceeding 30 miles per hour when necessary. The acoustic properties of blue whale vocalizations reflect adaptations for communication across the vast scales of their oceanic habitat. The low-frequency calls produced by these giants can propagate through ocean sound channels for thousands of miles, enabling coordination between widely separated individuals during feeding and breeding activities. The cultural aspects of blue whale behavior may include learned feeding strategies, migration routes, and social behaviors passed between generations through observation and imitation. Such cultural transmission could enhance feeding efficiency and survival success, contributing to the evolutionary success of these marine giants. The conservation challenges facing modern blue whales illustrate the vulnerability of marine giants to human activities and environmental change. Ship strikes, entanglement in fishing gear, noise pollution, and climate change effects on prey abundance all pose threats to populations that have not fully recovered from historical whaling impacts. The recovery of blue whale populations provides insights into the ecological requirements of marine giants and the timescales involved in ecosystem restoration. Population monitoring reveals slow but steady increases in some regions, suggesting that protection from direct human impacts can enable recovery of even the largest marine animals. The study of blue whale ecology contributes to understanding fundamental principles of marine ecosystem functioning and the factors that enable extreme body size in aquatic environments. Research on these giants provides insights into energy flow, population dynamics, and environmental relationships that apply broadly to marine conservation and ecosystem management. The fossil record of whale evolution demonstrates the remarkable speed with which marine mammals achieved gigantism following their initial invasion of marine environments. The transition from small terrestrial ancestors to ocean giants occurred over approximately 50 million years, a relatively brief interval in evolutionary terms that highlights the powerful selective advantages of large body size in marine environments. The anatomical innovations that enabled whale gigantism continue to inspire biomechanical research and engineering applications. The efficiency of whale swimming mechanics, the design of baleen filtering systems, and the acoustic properties of whale vocalizations provide models for technological developments ranging from underwater vehicles to water filtration systems. The biogeochemical impacts of whale populations influence marine ecosystem functioning through nutrient redistribution and carbon cycling. Large whales transport nutrients from deep feeding areas to surface waters through their waste products and carcasses, enhancing marine productivity and influencing global carbon storage in marine systems. The evolutionary convergence between ancient marine reptiles and modern whales in achieving large body size demonstrates the consistent advantages that marine environments provide for gigantism. Despite their different evolutionary origins and anatomical solutions, both groups discovered that marine habitats enable body sizes impossible in terrestrial environments. The future of marine gigantism will depend on the maintenance of productive marine ecosystems capable of supporting the complex food webs required by large marine animals. Climate change, ocean acidification, and other anthropogenic impacts on marine environments pose significant challenges to the continued existence of ocean giants. The study of marine giants throughout Earth's history provides crucial perspectives on the factors that enable and constrain the evolution of a large body size. From Triassic ichthyosaurs to modern blue whales, the ocean has consistently produced animals that represent the maximum achievable size for vertebrate organisms. The legacy of marine giants extends beyond their impressive dimensions to encompass their roles as keystone species that influence entire marine ecosystems. Large marine predators and filter feeders affect prey populations, nutrient cycling, and habitat structure in ways that cascade throughout marine food webs. The preservation of marine giant fossils in sedimentary rocks provides windows into ancient marine ecosystems and the environmental conditions that supported very large animals. These fossil records reveal the intimate connections between climate, ocean chemistry, and the evolution of gigantism across geological time. The technological advances that enable modern study of marine giants continue to reveal new insights about both living and extinct species. Satellite tracking, underwater robotics, genetic analysis, and advanced imaging techniques provide unprecedented detail about the biology and ecology of ocean giants. The interdisciplinary nature of marine giant research brings together paleontologists, marine biologists, oceanographers, and conservation scientists to address questions that span millions of years and global scales. This collaborative approach provides comprehensive understanding of the factors that control marine gigantism across deep time. The educational value of marine giants in communicating scientific concepts about evolution, ecology, and environmental change makes these animals powerful ambassadors for marine conservation. Public fascination with the largest animals on Earth creates opportunities to discuss broader issues of biodiversity, ecosystem function, and environmental stewardship. The continuing discoveries of new fossil marine giants and advances in understanding living species ensure that our knowledge of marine gigantism will continue expanding. Each new discovery adds pieces to the complex puzzle of how life achieves maximum size in marine environments. The story of marine giants ultimately illustrates the remarkable capacity of life to exploit every available ecological opportunity. From the first vertebrates to venture into ancient seas, to the massive whales that cruise modern oceans, evolution has repeatedly discovered that water provides the ideal medium for achieving the largest possible body sizes. The cyclical patterns of marine giant evolution, with periods of diversification followed by extinction and replacement, reflect the dynamic relationship between life and environment that characterizes Earth's history. Each major environmental transition has provided new opportunities for evolutionary innovation, while eliminating previously successful lineages. The convergent evolution of similar adaptations in distantly related marine giants demonstrates the power of natural selection to find optimal solutions for life in aquatic environments. The repeated evolution of streamlined body forms, efficient swimming mechanisms, and specialized feeding structures illustrates the consistent engineering challenges faced by large marine animals. The ecological requirements of marine giants reveal the importance of maintaining productive and stable marine ecosystems. The complex food webs that support very large animals require high levels of primary productivity and efficient energy transfer through multiple trophic levels. The vulnerability of marine giants to environmental change throughout Earth's history provides sobering perspectives on the challenges facing modern marine megafauna. The fossil record demonstrates repeatedly that large animals are often among the first casualties of ecosystem disruption, making conservation of marine giants a priority for maintaining marine biodiversity. The ongoing evolution of marine ecosystems continues to shape the future of marine gigantism. Changes in ocean temperature, chemistry, and productivity will influence which types of marine giants can persist and potentially drive the evolution of new forms of marine megafauna. The deep time perspective provided by studying ancient marine giants enriches our understanding of modern marine ecosystems and their conservation requirements. The knowledge that oceans have supported diverse communities of giants for hundreds of millions of years emphasizes the importance of maintaining the environmental conditions that enable such remarkable achievements of biological engineering. The wonder inspired by marine giants, both ancient and modern, reflects the profound human connection to the ocean and its inhabitants. These magnificent animals represent the pinnacle of evolutionary achievement in marine environments and embody the endless creativity of natural selection in exploring the possibilities of life. The scientific study of marine giants continues to yield fundamental insights about the principles that govern life at large scales. From the mechanics of filter feeding to the energetics of migration, these animals provide natural laboratories for understanding how biological systems function at the extremes of what physics and chemistry allow. The conservation legacy we create for modern marine giants will determine whether future generations can witness the largest animals that have ever lived swimming in Earth's oceans. The recovery and protection of blue whales and other marine giants represents one of the great conservation success stories of the modern era, while highlighting the ongoing challenges of coexistence between human activities and marine megafauna. The story of the largest animals that ever lived ultimately demonstrates that the ocean remains the realm where life achieves its most spectacular expressions of size and complexity. From ancient seas populated by giant marine reptiles, to modern oceans dominated by massive whales, the aquatic environment has consistently nurtured life forms that push the very boundaries of what biology can accomplish. In the vast expanse of deep time that encompasses Earth's 4 billion-year history, the emergence and persistence of marine giants represents one of evolution's most remarkable achievements. These magnificent animals, whether measured in the fossilized remains of ancient ichthyosaurs or observed in the living majesty of blue whales, embody the endless possibilities that arise when life encounters the boundless opportunities provided by marine environments. The physics of water itself creates the foundation upon which marine gigantism rests. Buoyancy reduces the gravitational constraints that limit terrestrial animals, while the three-dimensional nature of aquatic habitats provides space for movement and feeding strategies impossible on land. The thermal properties of seawater enable stable body temperatures across vast ranges, and the chemical richness of marine environments supports the complex food webs necessary to sustain very large animals. The evolutionary pathways that have led to marine gigantism reveal the remarkable plasticity of vertebrate body plans when subjected to the selective pressures of aquatic life. From the earliest fish that ventured into open oceans to the mammals that abandoned terrestrial life to become ocean giants, each major transition has involved profound anatomical reorganization and physiological innovation. The environmental conditions that enable marine gigantism have fluctuated throughout Earth's history, creating periods of opportunity alternating with times of constraint. The warm, productive seas of the Mesozoic era supported diverse communities of giant marine reptiles, while the cooling climate of the Cenozoic created the polar productivity that sustains modern filter-feeding whales. The mass extinction events that punctuate Earth's history have repeatedly reshaped the landscape of marine gigantism, eliminating established lineages while creating opportunities for evolutionary innovation. Each recovery period has seen the emergence of new types of marine giants, demonstrating the persistent advantages of large body size in marine environments. The study of marine giants across deep time reveals fundamental principles about the relationship between body size, ecological function, and environmental stability. Large animals consistently represent both the pinnacles of evolutionary achievement and the most vulnerable components of their ecosystems, sensitive to environmental change, yet capable of remarkable resilience under stable conditions. The modern ocean, dominated by the largest animals that have ever existed, represents the current chapter in the ongoing story of marine gigantism. Blue whales and their relatives have achieved body sizes that exceed even the most massive dinosaurs, demonstrating that the age of giants has not ended, but rather reached new heights in the aquatic realm. The future of marine gigantism will depend on the maintenance of the environmental conditions that have enabled such remarkable evolutionary achievements. The stability of ocean ecosystems, the productivity of marine food webs, and the chemical balance of seawater all influence the capacity of marine environments to support very large animals. The legacy of marine giants extends beyond their impressive statistics to encompass their roles as indicators of ecosystem health and symbols of the ocean's capacity to sustain life at magnificent scales. These animals remind us that the largest expressions of life on Earth depend on the preservation of marine environments and the complex ecological relationships that sustain them. As we continue to explore and understand the depths of Earth's oceans and the depths of geological time, the story of marine giants serves as a testament to the remarkable achievements possible when life encounters environments that provide both opportunity and challenge. The largest animals that ever lived represent not just biological curiosities, but fundamental expressions of the principles that govern life on our blue planet. In contemplating the vast scales of time and space represented by marine giants, we gain perspective on our own place in the ongoing story of life on Earth. These magnificent animals, whether swimming in ancient seas or gliding through modern oceans, embody the endless creativity of evolution and the profound beauty of life. expressing itself at the largest possible scales in the realm where it first began. The profound interconnectedness of marine giants with their oceanic environments becomes increasingly apparent when we examine the chemical signatures preserved within their fossilized remains. Isotopic analysis of ancient whale bones reveals migration patterns that spanned entire ocean basins, while trace elements embedded in marine reptile teeth provide insights into the temperature and salinity of waters they inhabited millions of years ago. The preservation of soft tissue impressions in exceptional fossil sites has revolutionized our understanding of how these giants appeared in life. Rare specimens preserve outlines of skin, muscle, and even internal organs, revealing anatomical details invisible in typical bone-only fossils. These discoveries have shown that many marine reptiles possess skin patterns and body shapes markedly different from earlier reconstructions based solely on skeletal remains. The study of coprolites, fossilized excrement from marine giants, provides direct evidence of feeding behaviors and digestive capabilities. Analysis of these specimens reveals not only what these animals consumed, but also how efficiently they processed their food. Large marine predators often show evidence of consuming substantial bone fragments along with soft tissue, indicating powerful digestive systems capable of extracting nutrients from entire prey carcasses. The taphonomy of marine giant fossils, the study of how these remains became preserved in sedimentary rocks, reveals important information about ancient marine environments and the life habits of these animals. The orientation and articulation of fossilized skeletons can indicate whether animals died in shallow or deep water, whether they were scavenged before burial, and how ocean currents affected their final resting positions. Exceptional preservation sites known as Lagerstätten provide windows into complete marine ecosystems that included giant predators alongside their prey and competitors. These fossil deposits preserve not only the large animals but entire food webs, revealing the ecological relationships that sustained marine giants and the environmental conditions that enabled their preservation. The biomechanical analysis of marine giant locomotion has benefited greatly from computational fluid dynamics modeling that simulates water flow around reconstructed body shapes. These studies reveal how different anatomical configurations affected swimming efficiency and provide insights into the trade-offs between speed, maneuverability, and energy conservation that shaped the evolution of marine giant morphology. The scaling relationships between body size and physiological functions in marine animals provide frameworks for understanding the biological constraints on gigantism. As animals increase in size, surface area to volume ratios decrease, affecting heat exchange, gas exchange, and nutrient distribution throughout the body. Marine giants evolved various solutions to these scaling challenges, from specialized circulatory systems to modified respiratory strategies. The ontogenetic development of marine giants, their growth from juvenile to adult forms, required dramatic changes in proportion and function. Young ichthyosaurs possessed different skull proportions and tooth arrangements compared to adults, suggesting dietary shifts as they grew larger. Similar patterns occur in modern whales, where juveniles often feed on different prey types than their parents due to size-related feeding constraints. The evolutionary arms races between marine giants and their prey drove continuous innovation in both predator and prey lineages. As marine reptiles evolved more powerful jaws and faster swimming speeds, their prey developed enhanced armor, schooling behaviors, and escape responses. These coevolutionary dynamics shaped the anatomical features and behavioral strategies of entire marine communities. The geographic isolation of marine basins during certain geological periods led to the evolution of endemic giant species found nowhere else on Earth. The Tethys Sea, which separated northern and southern continents during much of the Mesozoic, supported unique assemblages of marine reptiles that differed from those inhabiting other ocean systems. These biogeographic patterns provide insights into ancient ocean circulation and continental configurations. The role of marine giants as ecosystem engineers extended beyond their direct predatory impacts, to include their effects on seafloor communities and sediment dynamics. large marine reptiles that fed on bottom-dwelling organisms would have disturbed seafloor sediments over wide areas, affecting benthic communities and influencing patterns of nutrient cycling in ancient marine ecosystems. The transition zones between different marine environments, such as the boundaries between shallow shelf seas and deep ocean basins, often supported diverse assemblages of marine giants with different ecological specializations. These ecotones provided opportunities for resource partitioning among large predators and may have served as corridors for dispersal between different marine provinces. The evolutionary responses of marine giants to major environmental changes reveal their adaptability and limitations when faced with ecosystem disruption. Some lineages showed remarkable resilience, persisting through multiple extinction events with relatively minor anatomical modifications, while others proved highly specialized and vulnerable to environmental change. The recovery dynamics following mass extinctions demonstrate the timescales required for marine ecosystems to rebuild the productivity necessary to support very large animals. The lag between extinction events and the reappearance of marine giants often spanned millions of years, indicating the complex ecological relationships required to sustain such massive predators. The molecular clock analyses of marine mammal evolution provide estimates of when different whale lineages diverged and began their separate evolutionary trajectories toward gigantism. These genetic studies complement fossil evidence and reveal that the capacity for achieving large body size evolved independently multiple times within whale lineages. The comparative anatomy of feeding structures across different marine giant lineages reveals convergent evolution towards similar solutions for capturing and processing prey in aquatic environments. The elongated rostra of ichthyosaurs, the massive jaws of pliosaurs, and the baleen plates of mysticite whales all represent different approaches to the same fundamental challenge of extracting nutrition from marine prey. The study of growth rates in marine giants through bone histology has revealed that many species grew continuously throughout their lives rather than reaching a fixed adult size. This indeterminate growth pattern may have allowed some individuals to achieve truly exceptional dimensions, representing the upper limits of what their species could accomplish given optimal conditions. The energetic requirements of marine giants created strong selective pressures for efficient foraging strategies and optimal body size. Mathematical models of energy balance suggest that there were optimal size ranges for different feeding strategies, with filter feeders favoring larger sizes than active predators due to the different energy returns associated with their respective feeding methods. The acoustic ecology of ancient marine environments remains largely speculative, but evidence suggests that some marine giants may have used sound for communication and navigation. The specialized inner ear structures of certain marine reptiles indicate sensitivity to underwater sound waves, while the discovery of possible sound-producing organs in some fossils raises intriguing questions about acoustic communication in ancient seas. The thermal ecology of marine giants reveals fundamental differences between the strategies employed by reptilian and mammalian lineages for maintaining optimal body temperatures. Marine reptiles relied on behavioral thermoregulation and warm environmental temperatures, while marine mammals evolved sophisticated physiological mechanisms for generating and conserving metabolic heat. The diving physiology of marine giants required numerous adaptations for managing oxygen storage, pressure changes, and nitrogen narcosis during extended submersion. Modern deep-diving whales provide insights into the physiological limits of underwater activity that may have constrained the behavior and distribution of ancient marine giants. The reproductive ecology of marine giants involved complex trade-offs between offspring size, number, and parental investment strategies. Species that produce larger, more developed young typically had lower reproductive rates but higher offspring survival, while those producing numerous smaller young relied on overwhelming predators through sheer numbers. The seasonal migration patterns of marine giants were likely driven by the temporal distribution of food resources and the environmental requirements for reproduction. Ancient migration routes may have connected feeding areas in productive upwelling zones with breeding grounds in warmer, more protected waters. The social behaviors of marine giants remain among the most enigmatic aspects of their biology, though various lines of evidence suggest complex interactions within and between species. Fossil sites preserving multiple individuals provide tantalizing glimpses of possible aggregation behaviors, while the discovery of bite marks and healed injuries indicates aggressive encounters between large marine predators. The parasite communities associated with marine giants provide insights into their physiology, behavior, and ecological relationships. Fossil evidence of parasites, though rare, reveals that even the largest marine animals were subject to infection by smaller organisms, highlighting the interconnected nature of marine ecosystems across all size scales. The sensory ecology of marine giants encompassed adaptations for detecting prey, predators, and environmental cues across the vast scales of marine environments. Enhanced chemoreception allowed tracking of chemical trails through water, while specialized mechanoreception enabled detection of water movements generated by other organisms. The biomineralization processes that produce the hard tissues of marine giants reflect the chemical conditions of ancient oceans and the physiological capabilities of these animals. Variations in bone density, tooth enamel composition, and shell structure provide insights into the metabolic processes and environmental conditions that shaped these organisms. The wound healing capabilities of marine giants, evidenced by healed bite marks and fractures in fossil specimens, indicate robust physiological systems capable of repairing substantial tissue damage. These healing responses suggest that large marine predators regularly survived encounters with other large animals, highlighting the aggressive nature of ancient marine ecosystems. The dispersal mechanisms that allowed marine giants to colonize new ocean basins depended on their swimming capabilities, environmental tolerances, and life history characteristics. Species with high dispersal abilities showed cosmopolitan distributions, while those with limited mobility often evolved into distinct regional forms. The extinction selectivity patterns observed during major marine extinction events reveal consistent vulnerabilities among large marine animals. Body size, metabolic rate, geographic range, and trophic position all influenced extinction risk, with large, specialized predators typically suffering higher extinction rates than smaller, more generalized species. The fossil preservation biases that affect our understanding of marine giants include the preferential preservation of hard tissues, the destruction of remains in high-energy environments, and the limited exposure of marine sedimentary rocks in terrestrial outcrops. These biases mean that our knowledge of marine giant diversity is certainly incomplete and may be substantially underestimated. The technological advances that continue to improve our understanding of marine giants include high-resolution CT scanning of fossils, chemical analysis of preserved organic compounds, and computational modeling of ancient ocean conditions. These tools provide increasingly detailed insights into the anatomy, physiology, and ecology of extinct marine megafauna. The interdisciplinary approaches required for studying marine giants bring together expertise from paleontology, marine biology, oceanography, geochemistry, and biomechanics. This collaborative research model enables comprehensive understanding of complex systems that span biological and geological timescales. The educational applications of marine giant research extend beyond academic institutions to include museum exhibitions, nature documentaries, and public outreach programs that communicate scientific discoveries to broad audiences. These efforts help build public appreciation for marine conservation and the importance of understanding Earth's biological history. The conservation implications of marine giant research provide historical context for understanding the factors that enable very large marine animals to persist in oceanic ecosystems. The fossil record reveals both the environmental conditions that supported marine giants and the types of disturbances that led to their extinction. The philosophical questions raised by the study of marine giants touch on fundamental issues about the nature of life, the meaning of extinction, and humanity's relationship with the natural world. These magnificent animals represent both the achievements and limitations of biological evolution, embodying the tension between complexity and fragility that characterizes life on Earth. The ongoing discoveries of new marine giant fossils ensure that our understanding of these animals will continue evolving. Each significant find adds new pieces to the puzzle of marine ecosystem evolution and may reveal previously unknown lineages or ecological relationships that reshape our understanding of ancient marine life. The comparative studies between ancient and modern marine giants provide insights into the consistency of ecological principles across vast spans of time. The similarities in feeding strategies, locomotion mechanisms, and body size optimization between extinct and living marine megafauna suggest fundamental constraints on marine gigantism that transcend specific evolutionary lineages. The global distribution patterns of marine giant fossils reflect ancient ocean circulation, temperature gradients, and productivity zones that determined where large marine animals could thrive. These distributional data provide crucial information for reconstructing past ocean conditions and understanding how environmental changes affected marine ecosystems. The cultural impact of marine giant discoveries extends beyond scientific communities to influence art, literature, and popular culture. These discoveries capture public imagination and provide powerful symbols for environmental conservation, demonstrating the profound connections between scientific research and broader cultural understanding of the natural world. The future research directions in marine giant studies will likely focus on integrating multiple lines of evidence to develop comprehensive understanding of these animals as complete biological systems, rather than collections of anatomical features. Advanced analytical techniques will continue revealing new aspects of their biology, ecology, and evolutionary relationships. The legacy of marine giants in Earth's biological history demonstrates the remarkable capacity of marine environments to support life at extraordinary scales. From the earliest giant marine reptiles to the massive whales of today, the ocean has consistently provided the conditions necessary for evolution to explore the upper limits of animal size. The deep time perspective provided by marine giant fossils reveals the dynamic nature of life on Earth and the profound changes that have shaped marine ecosystems over hundreds of millions of years. These animals serve as witnesses to environmental conditions and evolutionary processes that operated on scales difficult for humans to comprehend. The scientific methodology required for studying marine giants demands rigorous attention to evidence, careful interpretation of incomplete data, and honest acknowledgement of uncertainty. The fragmentary nature of the fossil record requires scientists to distinguish clearly between what can be demonstrated and what remains speculative. The wonder inspired by marine giants reflects fundamental human curiosity about the natural world and our place within it. These animals represent life's capacity to achieve magnificent complexity and scale, reminding us of the extraordinary achievements possible through evolutionary processes operating across vast spans of time. The preservation of knowledge about marine giants through scientific literature, museum collections, and educational programs ensures that future generations will have access to the accumulated understanding of these remarkable animals. This scientific heritage represents one of humanity's greatest intellectual achievements. The conservation message embodied by marine giant research emphasizes the importance of protecting modern marine ecosystems that support the largest animals currently living on Earth. The historical perspective provided by fossil evidence demonstrates both the resilience and vulnerability of marine megafauna to environmental change. The interdisciplinary collaboration required for marine giant research exemplifies the power of scientific cooperation in addressing complex questions that no single field could answer alone. The integration of diverse expertise produces understanding that exceeds the sum of individual contributions from different scientific disciplines. The technological innovations developed for studying marine giants often find applications in other fields, from medical imaging techniques adapted from fossil CT scanning to biomimetic engineering inspired by marine animal locomotion. These technological transfers demonstrate the broader benefits of fundamental research into Earth's biological history. The philosophical implications of marine giant evolution challenge human assumptions about progress, superiority, and the direction of evolutionary change. These animals achieved remarkable success through strategies that differ fundamentally from those employed by human societies, suggesting alternative ways of understanding achievement and adaptation. The temporal scales encompassed by marine giant evolution dwarf human historical experience and require conceptual frameworks that can accommodate processes operating over millions of years. This deep time perspective provides crucial context for understanding current environmental changes and their potential long-term consequences. The complexity revealed by marine giant research illustrates the interconnected nature of biological and geological systems that operate on global scales. Understanding these animals requires consideration of ocean chemistry, climate dynamics, plate tectonics, and evolutionary processes as integrated components of Earth system science. The humility inspired by studying marine giants reflects the recognition that these animals achieved biological success on scales that exceed human accomplishment, despite lacking the cognitive abilities that humans consider distinctive. Their success emphasizes the power of evolutionary adaptation and the importance of environmental fit. The scientific questions raised by marine giant research continue generating new hypotheses and research directions that will occupy scientists for generations to come. Each answered question reveals new complexities and uncertainties that drive further investigation into the nature of life at large scales. The educational value of marine giant studies extends beyond factual knowledge to include lessons about scientific methodology, critical thinking, and the process of discovery. These animals provide compelling examples for teaching about evolution, ecology, and the nature of scientific knowledge. The inspiration provided by marine giants influences contemporary research into marine conservation, biomechanics, and environmental science. These ancient animals continue contributing to scientific understanding long after their extinction, demonstrating the enduring value of paleontological research. The synthesis of knowledge about marine giants represents one of science's great achievements in reconstructing the history of life on Earth. The integration of anatomical, ecological, and environmental evidence produces understanding that transcends the limitations of individual fossil specimens. The ongoing relevance of marine giant research for understanding modern environmental challenges demonstrates the practical value of historical perspective in addressing contemporary problems. The factors that enabled or constrained gigantism in ancient oceans provide insights relevant to conserving modern marine megafauna. The sense of connection to deep time fostered by studying marine giants helps place human existence in broader context and may influence how we understand our responsibilities as temporary inhabitants of Earth. These animals remind us that life has achieved magnificent forms long before humans appeared, and may continue doing so long after we are gone. The marine realm continues to reveal its capacity for nurturing life forms of extraordinary size and complexity. From the ancient seas that supported diverse communities of giant marine reptiles to the modern oceans dominated by filter-feeding whales, aquatic environments have consistently provided the conditions necessary for evolution to explore the upper limits of vertebrate size. The story of marine giants spans hundreds of millions of years and demonstrates the remarkable adaptability of life when presented with the unique opportunities provided by aquatic environments. The physical properties of water that enable marine gigantism remain constant across geological time, creating consistent selective pressures that favor large body size in oceanic environments. Buoyancy reduces gravitational constraints, thermal stability enables efficient metabolism, and the three-dimensional nature of aquatic habitats provides space for movement and feeding strategies impossible in terrestrial environments. These fundamental advantages explain why the largest animals in Earth's history have consistently been marine organisms. The evolutionary innovation required for achieving gigantism in marine environments has produced remarkably similar solutions in distantly related lineages. The streamlined body shapes, efficient swimming mechanisms, and specialized feeding structures that characterize marine giants represent convergent evolution toward optimal designs for aquatic life. These repeated evolutionary discoveries demonstrate the power of natural selection to find effective solutions to the challenges of marine existence. The environmental conditions that enable marine gigantism fluctuate with global climate patterns, ocean chemistry changes, and continental configurations that affect marine productivity and habitat availability. The fossil record reveals periods when marine environments supported extraordinarily diverse communities of giants, alternating with times when environmental stress reduced both the diversity and maximum size of marine animals. The extinction and recovery patterns that characterize marine giant evolution reflect the dynamic relationship between life and environment that has shaped Earth's biosphere throughout its history. Each major environmental transition has eliminated some lineages while creating opportunities for others, resulting in the cyclical appearance of different types of marine giants across geological time. The modern ocean ecosystem dominated by whale species represents the current expression of marine gigantism and demonstrates that the age of marine giants has not ended, but rather achieved new heights. Blue whales and their relatives have attained body sizes that exceed even the most massive marine reptiles of the Mesozoic, illustrating the continued capacity of marine environments to support truly enormous animals. The future of marine gigantism depends on the maintenance of productive ocean ecosystems capable of supporting the complex food webs required by very large marine animals. Climate change, ocean acidification, and other human impacts on marine environments pose significant challenges to the persistence of marine giants, making their conservation a critical priority for maintaining the natural heritage of marine gigantism. The study of marine giants provides fundamental insights into the principles that govern life at large scales and the environmental conditions necessary for sustaining biological diversity. These magnificent animals represent the culmination of evolutionary processes operating over vast spans of time and serve as indicators of ecosystem health and environmental stability. The wonder and humility inspired by marine giants reflect their role as living connections to the deep history of life on Earth. Whether preserved in ancient rocks or swimming in modern seas, these animals embody the remarkable achievements possible when evolution encounters environments that provide both opportunity and challenge at oceanic scales. The legacy of marine giants in Earth's biological history demonstrates that the largest expressions of life require not just evolutionary innovation, but also stable environmental conditions that can sustain complex ecosystems over millions of years. The preservation of these conditions represents one of the greatest challenges facing contemporary conservation efforts and will determine whether future generations can witness the continued existence of the largest animals that have ever lived. In the vast expanse of Earth's oceans, where life first began and where it continues to achieve its most magnificent expressions, the story of marine giants reminds us that the blue planet remains capable of supporting biological achievements that exceed our wildest imagination. These animals represent not just impressive statistics, but fundamental expressions of the creativity and resilience that characterize life in its endless exploration of what is possible in the realm where water meets sky. The convergence of factors that enabled such extraordinary marine gigantism during Earth's history reveals itself through careful examination of ancient ocean systems and their capacity to sustain massive life forms. The chemical composition of prehistoric seas differed substantially from modern oceans, with elevated carbon dioxide levels creating greenhouse conditions that warmed global temperatures and altered fundamental ocean circulation patterns. During the Cretaceous period, atmospheric carbon dioxide concentrations reached levels 3 to 4 times higher than present-day values. This elevated greenhouse gas content created global temperatures that averaged 10 to 15 degrees Celsius, warmer than today, eliminating polar ice caps and creating a more thermally uniform planet. The absence of polar ice fundamentally altered ocean circulation, creating weaker temperature gradients between equatorial and polar regions. These warmer ocean temperatures increase the metabolic potential of marine organisms, while simultaneously reducing the oxygen-carrying capacity of seawater. Warmer water holds less dissolved oxygen than cooler water, yet the high productivity of Cretaceous marine ecosystems appears to have compensated for this limitation through vigorous photosynthesis by marine plants and algae that flourished in the nutrient-rich conditions. The continental configuration during peak marine giant diversity periods created vast epicontinental seas that covered much of what are now terrestrial landmasses. The western interior seaway that divided North America during the late Cretaceous extended from the Gulf of Mexico to the Arctic Ocean, creating thousands of square miles of shallow, warm marine habitat, ideal for supporting large marine predators and their prey. These shallow seas combined high biological productivity with relatively stable environmental conditions, providing the consistent food resources necessary to sustain populations of very large marine animals. The extensive continental shelves created by these inland seas supported diverse benthic communities that formed the foundation of complex marine food webs extending up to the largest predators. The story of Earth's largest animals reveals a profound truth written in the physics of water and the patient accumulation of evolutionary time. From the streamlined ichthyosaurs that ruled Triassic seas to the filter-feeding giants that cruise modern oceans, the marine realm has consistently provided the conditions necessary for life to achieve its most magnificent expressions of size and complexity. Water's unique properties created opportunities that terrestrial environments could never offer. Buoyancy freed these animals from the crushing weight of gravity, while thermal stability allowed efficient metabolism across vast body masses. The three-dimensional nature of aquatic habitats provided space for feeding strategies and locomotion patterns impossible on land, enabling evolution to explore the very limits of what vertebrate anatomy could accomplish. The largest animal that ever lived swims in our oceans today, a living testament to the enduring capacity of marine environments to support biological achievements beyond our imagination. Blue whales represent not the end of this story, but its current chapter, demonstrating that the age of giants continues in the realm where life first began, its long journey toward complexity and wonder.